like to call this meeting of the Grantsville City Planning Commission to order. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026, and it is 7 p.m. We are at our anchor location at Grantsville City Hall, 429 East Main Street in Grantsville, Utah. We are broadcasting this and recording it as well. So just a reminder for those that are visiting us to listen in or participate as part of the public, please make sure you sign in on the roster, or if you're online, provide your name. That would be helpful as we record attendees for public record. So we'll do a roll call.
Cameron Moulton, present.
Gary.
Gary Merrill, present.
Jason Hill, present.
Sarah Moore. And we are missing our commissioner, John Montgomery, who resigned, and our alternate may be online. No. We've identified Chris Horrocks as an alternate. He's participated before, but he's not participating tonight. I'd like y'all to stand for the pledge of allegiance with us. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cameron, I feel like I should go over there with you, so you're not standing by yourself.
I like it. Feels good.
Take your hat off.
very professional. Thank you all. Okay, for the last couple months, we have been practicing this new meeting format, which consists of the agenda that you see up on the screen and that is available online. For each agenda item, we have a staff presentation first. And then for those that are considering a motion or maybe a recommendation to City Council, we will have a public hearing and public comment period as the agenda item comes up. Then we go back to a commission discussion and consideration for those items. And I just want to point out for the item number 4, presentation and discussion of a proposed use for Advanced Technology and Data Infrastructure Center. It is a discussion only. There will be no decisions made and there will be no public comment. So during the public comment portions for items 1 and 3, please limit any public comment during the public hearing period to 3 minutes each person. And as you come up to enter your comments in the public record, we'd like you to state your name and your address for the record. And keep in mind that the commission cannot answer questions or engage in dialogue during the public comment. It is solely to capture that comment, which is why we moved the staff presentations to the section before the public comments. So you may glean a little bit of information on those items before public hearing opens. So with that, we'll move on to agenda number 1. Which is
my apologies for the interruption. There is an interpreter present. This is Jacqueline Dale. I was asked to interpret for someone that may come to the meeting. They may need an interpreter. So I just wanted to just to make sure that if that person is there, I will be doing an interpretation.
Yes, Jacqueline, I will give you a call.
Wonderful, thank you.
That is great, Jacqueline. Thank you. Appreciate you making us aware that you are here.
My pleasure, thank you.
Could you repeat your last name, Jacqueline?
She's
Dale, D-A-L-E.
Dale. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Shelby. So item agenda number 1 is a presentation, then a public hearing, then commission discussion and recommendation for the proposed amendments to Chapter 9 of the Grantsville Land Use Ordinance.
Good evening. My name is Aspen. You heard from Alexis Stewart on the July 21st meeting when this was first brought before you. This is amending Chapter 9 to make it so that Grantsville City would be able to participate in the WaterWise programs to the state of Utah. It is not more restrictive than is required to be able to participate in those programs. I have some specific points I can talk about, or I think I have a representative maybe from the Department of Water Resources here to present for you to give you a little more information, and then I can about the programs, and then I can return about code specific if you guys have anything for me.
Okay, sorry,
think I'll turn-
Aspen, we haven't met. Would you state your last name and are you?
It's Clegg. I'm the finance director for Grantsville City, so I typically am at Grantsville City Council meetings,
Council
but
meeting,
yeah,
great.
this is my first time. But this is Blue, correct? From the state, so he'll describe the program and then we can talk about the code more as questions arise.
That's awesome, Aspen. Thank you. Welcome, Blue.
Hi. Is there a way I could plug this in to show a presentation, or would it be easier to just talk? Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, right.
What is your last name?
Herbst, it's HERBST.
And you're with the Department of Natural Resources?
Yeah, Department of Natural Resources, the Division of Water Resources. Specifically just the conservation section. I'm one of the conservation techs that helps out with the landscape incentive program, so we help run it.
Would you sign in, please? Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Okay, super. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Sweet. I just wanted to talk about some of the background of the landscape incentive program, how it really functions kind of with cities. And then I watched the previous meeting, so I just wanted to address some of the direct concerns that people had brought up. So just to go over the program and the landscape incentive program is what the ordinance, a water-wise efficiency or water-wise landscaping ordinance allows residents to have access to. It's a state-funded program. It's run almost all over the state, just outside of the cities that don't have a water efficiency ordinance for landscaping. It's mostly just trading out traditional turf grass with water-wise perennials, mulch, and any kind of gathering areas. So we don't rebate like hardscape with concrete, but we do with pavers or bricks so people can still make a pergola, a seating area, whilst also reducing the amount of water that they use. We at the state provide $2 per square foot, whilst our water conservancy districts provide anywhere from $2 to $3 per square foot. They do just kind of a funding match with us, and that's why they're able to provide that increased rebate. Typically, the timeline is that a city adopts an ordinance. The city does not run the program at all. We run the program at the state, going to residents throughout the city's community. People can apply just based off of our website after the ordinance has been adopted. If there are any specific regulations inside of your ordinance that we would need to know about, we would also put that information with your info on our website. So we would make sure that applicants are landscaping to what you've agreed to. We do a little bit of program promotion, and we ask that some of our handouts and education materials get publicized at the city, and then we continue to run the program. This is the minimum requirements for all ordinances. So no lawn in the park strip, no lawn in areas less than 8 feet in width for efficiency measures. We find that overhead irrigation cannot efficiently irrigate grass in areas that are smaller than 8 feet wide because it oversprays or it hits a house or goes where the water is not intended. For residential lawn limitation, we have a 50% maximum. That a maximum can be changed to any, that can be any lower than 50%. Washington County, for instance, has only 8%. But obviously we want to match people's hydrology, the landscaping practices of the area. So anywhere from 0 to 50% in the front and side yards. And then the total landscaped areas for industrial, commercial, and institutional multifamily common areas is at 20%. So if you had a large apartment complex, they could still have a field for dogs for people to enjoy, but probably not all of the curbing and edging and park strip kind of areas. This is just kind of more information about the landscape incentive program. So we have all of our eligible locations. We do not rebate golf courses, agricultural kind of areas, sod farms, athletic fields, or parks. I know that we're kind of seeing maybe some interest in athletic fields and parks changing out their park strips specifically, but not the actual used area. So that's a rules update that we're kind of talking about right now. And then people use our website to apply. I just wanted to show some of the photos of actual projects that have been done in the state. So this is one here. You can see that it's still mostly turf, but the edging has been replaced with those trees, maybe some privacy. As they grow up, they're gonna kind of cover that shed there. They have a seating area in the back right-hand corner. That's a great area that we would rebate. This as well, this is a front yard that has 0% lawn afterwards. They had decided to keep some in the backyard, but created a seating area, made kind of a nice, pretty spot in their front yard for that curb appeal. We don't rebate projects with no plants in them. We require 50% plant coverage because of the soil stabilization, biodiversity, and the habitat that the plants will provide. It's just kind of garnering the evaporative cooling and those benefits with less water use. Just some more examples right here. So that's a front yard that kept most of their turf, but kind of got rid of the edge right there by the fence. And then a park strip that could use a little cleaning up, but a park strip that's a little bit more functional than just a turf park strip there. This is a project in Tooele that we rebated back, my coworker Matthew and I. Now, after the conversion, they use only 11,600 gallons of water per year versus the previous 102,000 gallons they were using. This applicant got back about $6,000. This is another one, not over here in Tooele, but up in Smithfield, but just a good use of the program, in my opinion. This person didn't have a sidewalk, but there in the background that's the high school. So a lot of students were just crossing over their turf, killing their turf, and they wanted to keep some. So they're using that front area for their dog, but then still providing a little usable walkway for all the students who would be walking that way anyways. One of the big reasons why we are thinking about the landscape incentive program and thinking about yard conversions as a whole is because outdoor irrigation depletes at 91% versus the 2% indoor depletion. Depletion is just the description of water that exits our system through evaporation, evapotranspiration, or through some kind of unrecoverable usage. So we can't get this water back no matter what we do. And you can see in the 5-year average, we use about 3.5 million acre feet that's depleted. We can reduce that amount from the municipal industrial kind of flow chart there that you can kind of track from the Great Salt Lake Basin over to that depletion. That municipal and industrial usage, it's businesses and it's people's homes. If we can reduce that amount, that depleted rate, then it helps water managers kind of consolidate that water budget and have more concrete variables to work off of. These are some of our cities that are available. That percentage is actually a little bit outdated. It's about 75% of the state, which was the governor's mandate this year. So we'd have completed that already, but looking to get more cities on board. And then we provide a bunch of resources for our participants. We have the DIY webinar and the landscape guide, just to get people affiliated with all of the hallmark kind of things that they're going to have to do during their conversion project. We have a checklist, a plant list. I think this has, some of this stuff that just to get people familiarized. The checklist to make sure that everyone knows all of what they have to do and make it easy for them. Our plant list. And then our local scapes, where we teach design classes to make it easy for people to make these conversions and make them look good. And then we have some stuff with the EPA. This is just the QUEL website, it's the Qualified Water Efficient Landscaper website, which some of us on the team are certified, including myself, so people can call us out and we'll come do any irrigation audit that might need. So even if they have a grass area that they just are wanting to conserve more water in, we can still help them out with that. These are some of our contact info, but yeah, I just wanted to open it up to address any of those specific concerns. I have some notes about what was brought up, but are there any questions about what we've talked about so far?
Do we have are we part of a conservatory district? So there's no extra, so you said the $2, but we're not getting an extra $2 or $3.
No.
We have no district here.
Yeah. The districts will either take that from multiple funding sources. So sometimes it's like a tax and they'll do 2 cents for this tax and a portion from another fund. But we provide the 150 for all the conservancy districts and then they will match us back.
That's interesting. That's great. I think we probably do have questions that you could answer, but if you don't mind, we'll just switch over to the public hearing on this item real quick and then invite you back up to field.
Does Aspen have more to present or are you?
I was just gonna address some of the questions from the previous meeting, but we can do that after, more in the discussion period, if that's good.
Is that okay, Aspen?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Sweet.
Super. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Thanks.
If you don't mind signing in as you're coming into the meeting, please, that would be great. Okay. So with that presentation, we will open the public hearing for agenda item 1, which is the recommendation of the proposed amendments to Chapter 9 of the Grantsville Land Use Ordinance. If there's anybody here that would like to enter comment on the public record, please feel free to approach the podium.
Camille Burt, am I on? Okay, 59 North Maraschino Lane, Grantsville. I'm not sure if it's changing it to just approve the water-wise or whether it's approved to do the xeriscaping for the new communities. I'm all for that. I came from Nevada. We are in a drought here. I strongly urge us to do everything we can to conserve whatever water we can for our community, especially with everything that's going on. Not enough rain, not enough anything going on, and everybody sucking up the water. So any way we can conserve water, I'm for it. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille. Is there anybody else who would like to enter comment, please?
I can't seem to get the agenda open on my phone right now, but to make sure I'm accurate. But I'm actually, my name is Cameron Ordakowski.
Thank you.
I'm in Tula now. I'm looking to move here to Grantsville here in the next year. And I'm totally against mandating this thing for a couple reasons. One, I have 8 kids, and digging rocks out of a wound rather than grass and twigs is a little more graphic than I would like to go into. My kids are always wanting to play outside and play out in the front. Where we're at now, we have these little tiny 8 square, they can't play in that small patch of grass. Not and stuff, and so we have to stick them in the backyard, and the backyard's so small, it's very constricting. They want a little more running space, or if they're riding their bike and they're gonna crash, they don't wanna crash into rocks, they'd rather crash onto grass. Or at least I'd want them to. Sometimes it's in the road and you can't help it. The other thing and that's one of the biggest reasons for me, is because mandating this for all places, some of the outdoor spaces I am totally for. It really irritates me when we finally do get rain to seeing people's sprinklers going during a really good downpour like we recently had. That irritates a lot out of me. I love water, I love conserving water, but I don't like mandates saying, hey, your yard has to be this way. The other thing that you need to consider is a lot of these waterwise landscapes are hot. I don't know how many people have ever walked on artificial turf with their bare feet. You can scorch your bare feet, especially when you get the sun scorching that we get here into the Tooele Valley. It's a little worse than where I grew up in South Jordan. And my uncle got some artificial turf. That burns your feet. And the rocks, and it all heats up. So the entire community, theoretically, it's gonna raise the temperatures because it creates that small artificial heat coming off it. Like if you do it over asphalt does the same thing. It raises the heat value. So that's some things to consider whether you're gonna mandate this and where you're gonna put this. As I mentioned before, I love the idea of like right in between in the medians on the road or on some of the sidewalks that aren't going to be play areas. Totally for that, but don't mandate it on the residential homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron.
Either go all in or don't clap. That's. Pick a lane, guys. Sorry.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, please just state your name. Good.
Are you Sarah?
Yes.
Thanks for answering my email. Appreciate it. I'm Rose Moore. We're not related. I live in Tooele, very close out here in Stansbury Park, and I am definitely for saving and conserving water. So I appreciate that you have brought this out here. I'd like to have you come out to my house. Actually, I have your contact information to my backyard.
Sorry, Was it Rose?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think I responded. Maybe it was Shelby Moore.
That's right. That's, you guys both have last names.
I know.
Okay,
it is
all right,
so-
I'm
We are not
confused.
related either.
No, we're not related.
Okay.
But
well,
thank you.
Okay, well, I appreciate your hospitality and having us strangers from next door come out and raid your hood, but I'm totally for conserving water, and so that is a big thing. And I just want to make sure that basically the reason why this is being proposed is because there are issues with regard to conserving of water, the current state of condition of the weather and the drought that we are in right now. And that it's critical. I mean, it's really important. We hear on the news every day, and then all the issues that went on with the fires, you know. So where's this water coming from? How can we manage things in a very responsible way so that holistically as communities, infrastructures are put in place and concepts are utilized to best ensure that that's what's going on. So just to confirm what this gentleman has said, the reason why we're doing this is, or advocating for it would be because there is a concern, and this is the state's response as far as how to help mitigate and manage the crisis. So thank you for your information.
Thank you, Rose.
Joanne Jacobs, and my husband had some great ideas as an alternative to that type of landscaping too. You could make the newer homes that are being built have a process to reclaim the water that's, what did you call that? Gray water. To reclaim the gray water, to use that for yard watering too, so that, you know, you're not making people have these type of yards, and there is an alternative to saving the water, and it works out for, you know, just another thing to throw on the radar.
Thank you, Joanne. Would anybody else like to enter public comment on this agenda item? Okay, Nicole, if there's anybody online, would you please raise your hand if you'd like to enter comment into the record for this agenda item 1? Nobody online. Okay, seeing no further public comment, we'll close the public hearing and bring this item back to the commission for discussion and consideration. So, I don't know, Aspen or Blue, if you want to come up to the podium or wait until we have actual questions, please, you're welcome to, if you don't mind standing. It's up to you, but we know we could address either of you. Jason, I'm actually going to start with you since you're a water expert guy.
I have a couple of questions, I guess, and part of this goes back to maybe asking some of the questions you were gonna maybe address. Some of the concerns that we were also seeing via email and everything was how this gets applied to existing groups, and then how we're going to enforce what this looks like. I'm curious to kind of re-articulate what that looks like, because what's gonna stop someone from saying, okay, I can't put in turf, I'm not gonna do anything, we're just gonna have a dirt patch that ends up turning into weeds and no one does anything. Is there a way to look at that? Because I mean, that doesn't beautify anything, it just leaves it a low water eyesore in my mind.
Yeah, so as far as existing homes go, that is where the rebate program through the state would come in with the $2. And so we actually did run some numbers with the cost of, and to be sure, this is do it yourself. I don't know the cost related if you were to hire someone, but like if you were to remove the park strip I have the notes right here. We just took an example for a home, but their park strip was 5 feet by 35 feet. And so if they were to pull all of that sod out and then we ran the numbers for a white glacier rock, which is one of the pricier rocks from right way down over here. Or we also did it with like a lower cost rock, like river rock or even mulch. And both of those would be completely covered by the rebate through the state. like, and then some. So the idea with existing homes would be that they would pull out their turf and lawn and then replace it with rock, plants and things, and the rebate would cover that cost. So that's the incentive, would be to pull out that lawn, but then they'd be getting the money that would be necessary to redo that area, I guess. And so the rebate covers that. As far as like new homes, they we would have this code in place, and so they would need to follow the rules and regulations for their front. This is applicable to front yards only for new homes. They can do whatever they'd like in their backyards, but for new homes, they would need to follow the guidelines that would be adopted in this ordinance. And then it would be no different than the cost of putting in a yard regularly. So I know some developers do offer like some sod donations and things when you purchase their home, but for the most part, you have to pay to put your own
Yeah, and to speak on
yard in
that,
anyway.
We already incentivize, I don't wanna say incentivize, but we already offer a reduction in water dedication for outdoor if they put in water wise or xeriscape in the front yards. So with new subdivisions, they do need to submit a site plan with a landscape design with the plant materials and the square foot so that we can compare it to this ordinance.
So I guess I didn't read this in there, maybe I missed it. So in there, there's opportunities for what they can put in there. Part of my question was what, we're not requiring them to put landscaping in though. That's what I was getting at, is if someone says, I'm not doing anything, I'm just gonna leave it as a dirt patch. We have the city's not going to go after someone for that just because they choose not to landscape at all.
Not specifically, unless it's specific to that specific subdivision or development, as far as I'm aware.
Correct. So if I'm an existing home and I can't afford to, put turf in, I could leave it a dirt patch, but if I grow weeds or anything like that, I do have to maintain those weeds and mow them down, because we do have in our muni code requirements of how tall the weeds can be.
Right, I just want to make sure there was anything there. Thank you.
Can I, and this might help, it might not. So I did a lot of research. I asked some questions of, Alexis, who's our grant writer. So my understanding is this is two parts. So the first part is the city has to adopt the zoning that restricts future builds. And that's future builds for residential and commercial, okay? And in return, the state will offer current homeowners who have current weed patches, not who have had trouble maintaining their yards in the past. The yard that is eligible for this rebate has to be in good shape. So you're not tearing out weeds and you're not replacing dirt, you're tearing out perfectly good grass. And then so they have to certify it before you do it. And they have to, you have to tear out at least 50% of the grass. And you have to have the final landscaping plan have at least 50% of the area covered by native plants. It can't just be rock. And then you have to maintain that, which would be a challenge for people who are not maintaining their yards currently. For people who already have grass, they may choose to maintain what is water-wise landscaping. So they come back out after the project is done and the new plants are in, and they will process your rebate based off of the expense that you have incurred to do this. So they're not giving you money up front and then letting you go willy-nilly and not keep any commitments. They aren't paying the rebate until all of the work is done. But that's only for, now this is where it's gray, only for front yards of existing homes?
Existing homes. So if someone wanted to get rid of turf in their backyard, they can get rid of as much as they want. They actually don't have to go down to that 50%. For existing homes, they can change out as much as they'd like. So if someone wants to do a park strip the first year, just see if they like doing the program, if it worked out for them, they can do their park strip and then say, well, I don't use this part of my front lawn much, or I have a lot of these awkward areas to irrigate where they do get more weeds. And to the weeds point, I want to say myself or my coworker Matthew, we take all the calls or drive over to people's houses and officiate that their turf is living in good condition. We'll take dormant turf, especially in drought conditions, because we want people who are saving water to still get their rebate back. And, you know, it kind of makes sense, especially if someone's gonna be taking out the grass anyways. But we don't want to, we are only rebate back those living lawns or you know, dormants, not dead and like weeded over. And so just for.
So if that helps with the consideration at all, I found it interesting that you would have to certify that their landscaping is in decent condition before they tear it out. It seems, it's my personal opinion, not to step on your time, Jason, that if you offered an opportunity for folks who are already struggling to maintain landscaping, that would probably be less restrictive and would be more open to it. If there was a way that you could find a path to help those folks, that would be awesome. But Jason, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take your time. I'd like you to continue.
I like this. I don't, like I said, residential water is not my forte at all, but I do like, I think what we're looking at here is something that gives people opportunity. And it's people that are using water to conserve water, not someone who's not using water to try to incentivize them through free money to try to do something different. So I think that there's a real reason why they're doing it the way they are, but I have no other questions.
Thank you. Gary?
Does this apply for those who are already using secondary water to water lawns? We have a lot of those users already here in the Grantsville city.
Yeah, it would apply for people using secondary too. So, and they can use that secondary for their water-wise project afterwards. And we have some special considerations for that, especially for drip emitters and stuff that are gonna get clogged more easily. But we educate the person through that, so.
I see on here you have some stuff that's approved, not approved, like turf, not approved, of course, but hardscape rocks, which also radiate heat back out, which seems contradictory to me. I want to save water, but I want to put rocks down as part of this, which is going to radiate heat back and raise my heat signature around my house, potentially driving. I think that's a problem that we have in Salt Lake is
excess
the heat radiation is driving storms over the top of us and pushing elsewhere. I guess I'm trying to figure out why, if we're looking at plants, I agree 100%, but why would we be pushing more and more rock and not mulch? And
we allow for rock, especially like those larger boulders, I think is kind of what you're getting at with like heat that's gonna radiate back onto a property. What we see is that it's only dark colored rock that does that. So we tell people that in advance, and we tell them, you know, wherever you're getting your rock from, like make sure you're not getting, you know, limestone or anything that has like high calcium carbonate. But we're educating we're trying to work with the applicants to make sure that they're not making poor landscaping choices. So that, you know, deferring people away from darker rock that's going to radiate back heat throughout the evening versus lighter colored rock that's going to reflect heat throughout the day and then absorb some, but it's considerably less.
I guess I'd argue that point though, because I'm not sure if you've walked on a sidewalk, gray colored cement sidewalk in middle of July, still radiating a grip load of heat. And it can be 100 degrees outside and that's radiating 120, 125 degrees. Burn you if you're walking on bare feet. So I would say a light colored rock is not going to not radiate. It's still going to absorb heat. It's still. I guess the other question I would have also, sorry, Blue, to go away from that for the city. We're trying to, I guess, create a district. What are we gonna do as a city to lead out on this? I mean, we're gonna ask the citizens to do this. Is the city already got projects in hand and in mind, like, hey, if we do this, let's say let's put our money where our mouth is. We got grass.
Yeah,
out
we've
here in
already
City Hall
considered
and-
doing the flip your strip at the front of City Hall here. As you, I'm sure have noticed, we have like a 4-foot strip maybe right along the curb, between the curb and the sidewalk, that we would anticipate we would be ripping out and changing. It's just another area that's awkward to mow and maintain, and it's awkward to water. It waters the sidewalk with the lawn. It's just a waste. And so we have already considered that and verified with the state that the city itself would be able to participate in the program.
Well, the other part of this too, I found rather ironic today, as I was up in North Star Ranch doing some work, and there's the retention basin up there that now has 100% sod through that whole retention basin. And I'm looking at this as a city, I wish somebody could answer me, like, how did that get approved? Because tell me if I'm wrong, but is our retention basins city property and city maintained? So now we have a greater than a football field worth of sod that no one is going to use, that we have to water, maintain and mow. And yet we're talking about water-wise features here and how we save water and how we help maintain the water table that is depleting throughout the state. But yeah, we just put how many hundreds of square feet of sod in one of the driest communities in our city. And that's okay. But telling somebody, we want you to take your turf out of your park strip, because that's not okay.
It's completely voluntary. You could keep your
Well, no,
grass
I
in
get
your,
this, but
in your
we're
strip.
talking out of both sides of our mouth here. We want you to voluntarily do this, but we're gonna put a football field worth of grass, probably more up here, that now has to be watered and maintained. So save water here while we're dumping more water up there. That just doesn't, it seems contradictory to me.
I hadn't seen that, but.
It just happened, I literally just happened, I watched these turf trucks and as I'm there doing some stuff, it's dirt this morning. I came out of a house 45 minutes later and it's 100% solid. I'm like, what in the heck are we doing?
I don't know if all developers turn over the water retention basins to the city or if that is just
Where
part
did you say
of.
that subdivision?
North Star Ranch, right off the old Mormon Trail.
Is that HOA or is that?
No, is not, North Star is not water-wise.
No, but we're talking about, I just found it ironic, we're talking about a water-wise item today on our agenda. And yet we just planted a football field worth of
We gotta
grass.
start somewhere, right?
At North Star.
Yeah, and we
Literally
couldn't
in the retention basin,
enforce
North Star Ranch.
anything without having a policy in
That's
place.
their- Yeah, I
So,
mean, we couldn't have enforced it because this wasn't in place in the first place, but that's North Star Ranch maintaining, the city doesn't maintain that.
Yeah, so some of the developers are still retaining that, like our subdivision.
Am I not,
the
am I wrong
developer
then that
tried
the
to
retention basin doesn't get turned over to the city?
No.
Not all the time. Sometimes they
We're
do.
trying to not take them.
Is the one in North Star, is it going to be still HOA
Yeah.
maintained and everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think part
Still
of
just
this,
find it ironic.
Well, and the irony still holds, whether it's the city paying for the water or the HOA, it's still the same water, right?
Being
Still
used.
coming out of the same system.
Yeah, and the irony is not lost on us, which is why we're having a conversation at all, because we want to get out ahead of it.
because yeah, if we don't have something like this in place, we have no way to have developers do something different. We have nothing, no leg to stand on as far as enforcement of that. So an ordinance like this would
But is
allow
it-
us to have a say in that.
I'm going through this, but I don't see this called out, retention basins even specified, even defined in here as part of this
And
code,
an eligible,
as an eligible part of the code.
So it would be for all subdivisions, so part of the landscape plan, they have to include the retention basin.
And if they, applied their retention base, like gave you the plan and then it had more than 50% grass, you could say,
I think maybe going forward, the definition of retention basin being added,
So we do
As
have a
part of
definition in
this.
chapter 2.
but we're talking water, I'd probably already add this as well to add a reference on chapter 9.
I mean, we could, yeah, it would
Yeah, I know it's
determine how much
redundant.
water they would dedicate. So we have water rights requirements and how much they have to dedicate. So if they landscape 110% of it, that's how much water, additional acre feet of water North Star Ranch would have to
Come up
dedicate.
with the
But
building.
if
developer.
they do a water-wise landscape and let's say it's only 20% and it's only 11,000 square feet versus 110,000 square feet, then they only need to dedicate enough for the 10,000.
Like I
But
said,
that's where CCNRs and other restrictions come into place to force the homeowners that buy any new subdivision as well as the HOA to maintain.
And anybody who's already there, if we talk about this, is already vested through this, so this could just become voluntary.
Correct. Yep.
I know how Cameron loves the HOA mentality.
I've got some thoughts.
Go ahead,
And once you're done,
fire away.
you good, Gary?
Yep.
so I just want to start off by saying I like water. Most of my body consists of water. So it's important to me just from the get-go. I think it's good for us to have something to hold developers to as they come in with plans and say, hey, this is what you have to do. My problem then becomes once someone comes in and buys that property, they then are being held to something like this. I think if we went back and listened to a lot of the city council, maybe the mayoral elections even, we probably heard a lot of, small government talk, deregulation, we're overregulated. This is a good example of government coming in with a regulation that I don't like, and it's not a good example of keeping a government small. I think it's de-beautification even if I know we're not forcing people to take out grass, but grass is pretty. So if someone comes in, buys a home, the developer puts in some of this nice looking native plants, and then the homeowner decides, hey, I'd like to put grass in my park strip. I don't like the idea that they can't do that at that point. And so my question for Blue, representing the state, is if the state's goal here is to conserve water and make us water wise, why is the state requiring a city ordinance to allow citizens of the state to take advantage of this? Wouldn't the true example of, hey, we want to be water wise, they'd say, hey, regardless of what your city does, we're not going to come and put a regulation on your throat. We're going to give you this incentive regardless of what your city did. Why doesn't the state do that if they're serious?
I think it's for curtailing future water use. So for developers who are moving into the state, like our state is growing, and there's no question about that. It's hard for us to kind of concentrate at our actual water use. When we have like this 91% depletion rate of all outdoor watering, that means 91% of that water like doesn't really stick around for the plants even. So that's taken away as water vapor through our atmosphere. If we have a bunch of new subdivisions and developers coming in, putting in, we'll run out of water faster, essentially, is what I'm saying. With no control over how much water we do use, then we have no ability to conserve. So it's just an infrastructural kind of change to center out that water, to understand, or to center out that budget, and make sure that we're not using more than we actually have. And to comment on like the ordinance kind of background, I think it was mostly kind of legislative desire to make sure that cities are adopting this ordinance when they want it. If not forcing it down people's throats, as you say, but allowing people to pick up these ordinances as they kind of need it. Especially the pilot program was funded in 2022, kind of as we were seeing harder water years coming our way, and then now as we're seeing them again, we've seen more cities sign on. Price today was sending like their draft ordinance over to me, and more cities have been signing on at a faster rate the last couple of years, but yeah, it's just mostly to try to maintain that choice, I think.
And I get that, but if that's the case, then either the state needs to be the big bad wolf and pass a law that says, hey, nobody in the state can do it. Or I think if they're serious about it, they would say, hey, regardless of what your city does, we want you to flip your strip and we're going to incentivize you. But instead the state's saying this money is only available if your city complies with us. Or the state needs to say, okay, look, we're going to be mean. We're going to pass this law and see how that, I don't know how that works out legally, but they're kind of trying to make the city the bad guy. But if they really want to save water, why don't we start at the beginning and say, hey, regardless of what your city does, we're going to do this. And then we're going to work with city on reasonable measures, as people like to say. So that shows me the state's a little insincere because they're not giving it to everybody automatically. I don't like that.
Yeah, I get that. I think the mechanism here is just to ensure that as we're going through drought years, as raised rates are going to be considered, as rates are going to have to increase anyways, we give people a mechanism in which they can conserve. If not, we kind of punish them for the drought when it's not the residents' fault for that, or living in the city. We want to make sure that they have a mechanism in which they can conserve.
That's what I'm saying. So why doesn't the state let everybody have it no matter what? That's what I would say. Take back to your bosses. Grantsville doesn't like this and they're the most important city in the state.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have to say.
That's it.
Can I add
That's
one
it?
thing to
I
cameras?
really thought-
And I'd say this, Blue, I take this back. I'm looking at a current satellite picture of the state capitol. With grundle and grundle of green grass, but yeah, you're talking, that's like, you need to go to your yard and you need to pull out turf. Lead by example. It's like I'm talking to the city.
They're actually
Step up and just lead by example. I
in
mean, I don't want a rebuttal here. I want an example.
in 2025 they
Take
passed
my-
a
But you can say all this, but I'm looking at a picture and what you say is not the truth. I'm looking at a picture of the Capitol right now with
That's not mine,
acres
Gary.
and
That's not
acres. A couple days ago, acres and acres and acres of green grass. It's not yellow, it's green.
And the state actually has passed a law in 2025, we're reducing all turf on all state properties to 20%. So it's, it's something that is working. It's not something that's
And I don't mean
instant,
to beat
obviously,
you up, but I'm like,
I want to refocus the conversation a little bit here. These guys are not responsible for the
Well, no,
policy.
but-
If you have a legitimate concern, and it sounds like you do, you should contact your state legislator who made the policy in the first place.
and I agree with you, Bill,
And
but.
because let's not beat up on poor Blue.
I
Let's not beat up on poor Blue
But
and
I
Aspen,
know,
who are
but
just
I'm
here to try to help
Blue.
us get some
He's a
tools.
state representative for the Division of Natural Resources for water. He's got more accessibility to people up on that,
He
in
doesn't.
that division than what I do.
He really doesn't. That's what I'm trying to say is that he is the arm of the policy, not the policymaker himself. And frankly, they don't listen to him a whole lot. As much as they probably should, they don't. So we can tell him to take a message back, but he doesn't have any access any different than we do. So I'm just putting that and trying to redirect to say, your points are valid. They're just not necessarily best addressed by Brother Blue here.
Who gave the floor to Bill?
He just takes
Thank
it.
you,
He just
Bill.
takes it. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Gary.
But that would be my big thing. And Bill, you're probably right. Get a hold of our state reps and stuff like that, cause like, I just hate being told one thing and the big brother not leading by example. Like, you lead first, we'll see if we like it. And then if we like it, we'll latch on and go with it. But
And I can appreciate that.
that's all. I just like, don't tell me, show me. Sorry.
At the Department of Natural Resources building, we're on Redwood and North Temple. We do have the full waterwise landscaping there, so if you want to drop by.
Is that the map store? Is that your office? Or is that- Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's the nicest building on North Temple.
And it looks great
It
with
does
no
look
lawn.
great. Yeah,
Imagine
well,
that.
because there's no needles in the yard like the rest of North Temple, but sorry, okay.
You digress.
It's okay. It's gonna be a long night. You better get all of the jokes out now, Tom, because, we're gonna be dragging. I do want to go back and reiterate that the planning commission is here to ensure that folks are able to use their property as they see fit within, given parameters. And we take that very seriously. I personally have heartburn. I can see the end goal and the reasoning behind this, but to restrict new residents coming in their choices of how they want to use their property. Just seems like it is, like Cameron said, it's overreaching government bureaucracy when we are here to protect our community members. So I've really enjoyed the presentation. I really enjoy, fielding the questions from our members, even though, some of us are frustrated with it because our main goal is to protect our community members and their use of their properties. So, but thank you for being such good sports. I sincerely appreciate it. I did also want to say that, but I drove around this town. I've lived in this town for 20 years, and we are authentic rural homeowners here. And most of us don't care about keeping green lawn, and we aren't trying to water a bunch of weeds and dirt, which is probably a good half of our current homeowners. They don't maintain their lawns. They don't care to maintain their lawns. They have horses, they have goats, they have chickens. This ordinance that we would have to adopt to allow the Department of Natural Resources to provide a rebate would benefit less than 1% of our community right now as it stands, because the people that does have grass maintain it and they want that grass.
We field calls weekly about participating in the rebate program. I would argue 1% would take advantage of it.
I personally have also gotten a lot of calls. Like last week, I was tabling for Craft Lake City and there were folks from Grantsville there who were interested and interested in the program.
So then this leads more to Cameron's point. Why do you have to set up a district before you allow people to take advantage of the rebates? If you want to push it that much, open it up to everybody regardless.
And I think we will probably
That's-
contact our representatives
It's a great
at the
question.
state
It's a really good
legislature
question.
and probably encourage that. But I think as this stands, we'll probably entertain a motion, probably not beat a dead horse.
Can I ask
Jason,
one
sorry.
question though? Is there a way to modify this to where we still apply for the rebates if we looked at encouraging or mandating that new developers come in and actually do what we're saying here, look for water-wise landscaping for the entire project without limiting it to the specific residential, and then leave it to commercial industrial that would also apply? Is there a way to work through that? I'm curious.
To clarify, just to clarify your question, are you saying like developers who are coming in, are just beholden to, I guess, what was?
So we ask a developer, as they develop a big subdivision, that they actually have to comply with this as far as open spaces, parks, how they look at that, to look at this. But then to go to, for an individual person to tell them they can no longer put in their yard the way they want, limit that to where that isn't part of that. I mean, is that something that would still allow us to say we have an ordinance that's in place in Grantsville that still stipulates how big developers have to comply with this, but not specific homeowners?
I don't think it would open up the rebate possibility just because that's the phrasing of the statute of the legislature. But I think keeping the conversation open and continuing to like work on an ordinance that does work for Grantsville, even if it doesn't open up the rebate, would be smart. So
I think, go ahead.
Jason, if I may just point to the purpose and intent under the, let's see, actually it's the applicability subsection 2. Provisions of this section shall apply to all new development requiring site plan approval, subdivision approval, building permit approval, or landscape plan approval within Grantsville City. Putting in a front lawn doesn't require those things after the fact. So it's debatable, perhaps arguable, that someone under this currently written code, where their subdivision was required to have a landscaping plan, if an individual homeowner elected to put in some different landscaping in the future, that's not subject to the application of this provision.
It's very
Can
helpful.
We just wasted an hour.
Can I just but I think what I heard Blue say is that so the rebate is paid after they certify, and then there's a maintenance requirement. There's a failure to maintain down here that the homeowners will incur a violation if they aren't maintaining what they rebated for.
Yes.
Rebate separate from new development.
Correct.
Failure to install or maintain required landscaping within parkway, park strips, or median constitutes a
The
violation.
new builder wouldn't be getting the rebate though, so they wouldn't be coming to follow up to see if the development still looked the same. Someone that took the rebate would get checked.
Correction by the city with costs billed to the responsible party. So, okay, so we take Tyson's awesome. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No,
at the same time, I'm very concerned that at some point down the road, somebody's going to get a violation and a fine, or the city's going to have to pay for a new code enforcement person to enforce this.
I just want to point out that that's in black, and so actually that was already part of the code. That's not.
That's
part of
not
this
new
rebate.
proposed.
So
Anything
the
red and
original
green.
code that doesn't have all of these restrictions that new builds will have water-wise landscaping, right?
Yeah, either way, we would enforce if someone's not maintaining their landscape or parkway.
And to be sure, with 1,700 new homes coming in, Grantsville City is likely going to need many new employees, including code enforcement. But yeah, everything in black is already standing, so they would already be receiving
I took
subject to code.
probably 50
violations.
pictures yesterday driving around this town where there's several areas that there should be some sort of code enforcement that we're not doing. So that's where I come up with the assumption that we probably have to hire somebody.
So I do want to correct you, we are doing that. We
And I
have
think that we're not
over,
showing.
hundred and
sorry,
fifty
Shelby.
cases.
Yeah, our code enforcement officer works very hard
Oh,
and
I'm
he,
sure that they do.
it's a
And
process certainly, and it's underway.
So,
But
hey, Ty, the question for
Nine
Tyson
point
then.
three A subsection 2, which is green. You'll have to scroll down. 9.3A. Keep going.
3.
There we go. Waterwise landscaping standards, applicability under 2. Provision of this section shall apply to all new development requiring site plan approval, subdivision approval, building permit approval, or landscape plan approval within Grantsville City.
So a single homeowner who has a piece of property, who gets a building permit to build a home, is going to have to submit a
They will.
water-wise landscaping plan.
Absolutely.
And then the city is not going to continue to ensure that that plan was followed and maintained.
Well, it's,
It would be a part of their C of O and a part of their approval. And
sort
then,
of the enforcement here is that there's a C of O that's attached to it.
and then the CCNRs or the HOA would also make sure that that is applicable as well.
Could we use terms instead of acronyms. I know what the certificate of occupancy is what we're referring to, right? Just for
Correct.
people who
Oh,
may not
yes,
know that.
yes.
Thank you. And so if they don't do that, their certificate of occupancy can be revoked? Did I read that somewhere?
How does that work? Because a new person going into a home gets their certificate of occupancy,
You
but
can't
they
get
don't
a
have to put a
CLO
yard.
until the final, so it won't be held up. It can't be revoked. Can it be held up? Yes, it can be revoked.
But someone doesn't have to have their yard in when they move into their house. So I'm just wondering how would the city look at that? Or-
It would be more of an incentive from the developer. So the developer is gonna submit a landscape plan, we're reviewing it. They submit they take that landscape plan, submit it as part of the building department site plan review, which is required for every home. And then we go, okay, you're gonna have 5 trees and 10% lawn here, and that's part of your construction.
But we already incentivize new construction to do that anyway. I think you stated that the city already provides credit or a reduced fee if they
So we don't
commit to
reduce the
having a
fee.
water wise.
We don't reduce a fee and we don't provide credit. It's a reduction in water dedication requirements.
Yeah. So just so
Go ahead.
I think this cleared up a lot then. So what we're saying is ABC developer comes in, follows this ordinance, let's say it's passed. They get signed off. I go buy a house from ABC developer. I could then go do whatever I want with my lawn and we're still compliant with the water wise?
You wouldn't be able to increase the percentage of lawn beyond 50%. So if they had installed 50% of the front yard as lawn and then, edging with whatever kind of plants they had, and you wanted to increase that amount of lawn.
So I couldn't go.
On that new build, you wouldn't be able to if you had a previous home.
So where is that in the ordinance though then, Tyson? Cause we're leaving the applicability and it's saying to the development, it's already developed, I've moved in. So does that mean this isn't written correctly or?
So to clarify, the developer needs to install it to
Yep.
get the reduction in water. And it's the front yard only,
Yep.
not the rear yard.
But then once I move in, I can't make it 100% grass.
Your CCNRs would. restrict
Gotcha.
that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. So then at that point, oh yeah, that gets a little more dicey then, huh?
And we have.
Cause then it's really the
Basic
city,
violation.
yeah, okay, I see you.
And fines.
No, I get that. I
The
was,
city doesn't enforce CCNRs.
but they just
No,
made the
they don't.
CCNR have that.
Correct, so I wanna point out, we already have a subdivision that essentially follows this,
It already does
Burlington
that.
Ranches.
Yeah.
Does this, they have to submit a landscape plan, it's reviewed by the HOA and then reviewed by the city, I'm the bad guy. And then I review it, make sure it's in compliance with how much water they're allowed to use, and then they go along their way.
Yeah,
I feel a little bit better after what Tyson explained.
yeah, me too.
I still feel like we're restricting people's choice to use their property the way that they want to. We will entertain a motion if there's no other discussion. So we need to move on.
Stable it.
Are you sure? You just don't want to make a.
I want to think
Either
about it
way?
some more.
Okay.
I do wanna point out that, yes, you are able to table it, but you are only able to view this item 4 times, and if you don't make a motion by the 4th time that this item is on the agenda, council will take it as a recommendation for denial.
Is this the second time we've talked about it?
Yes, so I just wanted to point that out to you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I move to table the recommendation, proposed amendments to chapter 9, the Grantsville Land Use Ordinance, based on the fact I want to think about it before I can make an educated decision myself.
Second.
Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Jason. All in favor?
Aye. So does that mean we can tell you when to put it back on the agenda though, Shelby? What's the timetable on that? I mean, can we put it back on in like 2 years?
Oh, no.
Next time.
No, it'll go on the next agenda.
It'll just keep repeating till we do it.
It'll go on the next agenda.
Okay.
By
Thank
that
you,
time, you either
Blue.
need to make a decision or it'll go.
Thank
to
you,
council
Aspen.
on the
Gotcha, okay.
following.
Interesting, okay.
Thank you.
So really, it's the city is making CCNRs then for this, how it comes down to.
I
No.
think
We'll
that-
talk about it next time.
The HOA
Hey, we
makes-
tabled it already, Shelby.
You started talking.
Thank you.
The HOA makes the CCNR, the city does not.
I guess. that's
But the
better
city
than-
regulation, we'll talk about it next time. I'll have more questions by then.
Super. So item one is closed. We'll move on to agenda item 2, which is presentation and discussion only of proposed new use for animal encounters facility within the R121 zoning designation.
I am excited
We'll
for
begin
this.
with a
So-
staff presentation.
This is just a discussion, sorry, I'm putting all these items back. A discussion with the applicant to determine if this is a use that the city would like. Either in the R121 zoning or a RR1, or any zoning within the city. But that's essentially just what this discussion is today.
Thank you. Hello, Nicole.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Good to see you. So is this a different property than the one that you subdivided last year?
No,
Okay.
it's been a couple
Yeah.
years, but.
Oh, has it been a couple of years?
Yeah,
I
like
feel
3
like
and a
I've
half
only
to
been
4.
here a few months. So much fun.
Did you? So this isn't,
Who
sorry, I
we
thought
waiting
Nicole
for?
was going
Oh, you're
to.
waiting for me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I
That's
had
okay.
permission to
That was
speak
awkward.
yet, so, okay. So my proposal is that I would like to ask that an ordinance be formed in order for this agricultural encounter experience for the public to come to our property and have an opportunity to interact with cows, specifically mini cows. They're able to brush them, touch them, cuddle them, take pictures with them. It's a pretty popular thing around the country. It's becoming more and more popular. There's one in Spanish Fork now, and I just think that I would love this opportunity. It'd be awesome, but the problem is I'm zoned 1-21 zoning district for half-acre lots, which I went back 4 years ago and wanted to get this, taken care of and rezoned everything, and now I'm asking for a special permission in order to move forward with something like this, that I could, because I have 4.57 acres of land in my 121 zoning, I would like to just be able to remain there and have a conditional use permit that I can function under that zoning, keeping everything as it is. It's already agricultural, it already has a barn, it already has parking, it already has, maintained areas that are beautified, and we have a restroom, and we have all of these facilities. And just wondering if we could just continue with this current zoning and move forward, because we do have the larger parcel in that exact property that we are considering this.
Are these Highland cows, is that what we're talking about?
I have Highland and Dexter's.
Oh, I don't know what a Dexter is.
A Dexter is the tiniest mini cow.
Oh, my
So
heavens.
their legs are the shortest and they're the stockiest, and they have these big old bellies, and they're just cute as can be. But they, we just had a new baby Dexter, half Highland born. The mom is a little black Dexter, and the dad is a Highland mini orange.
Oh, my
And the
heavens.
baby that was born is black with white on it. It looks like a skunk. It has a skunk stripe down its back. It has little white. I mean, so all kinds of things. Yes, you can come. That's the point, is people are already excited. They call me all the time. Can we come see your cows? Can we take pictures with your cows? So I have an expensive hobby, and I would like
To
to
monetize it.
help supplement it. Yeah.
So the intent, Nicole, are you asking to have this allowed within R121, or are you wanting to get rezoned?
I want to allow it within our 121.
And you're operating this as a business, so you're charging
Yes.
entrance to go in there, so it's not a business.
And it would be under the agritourism umbrella. So there's some benefits to that. You can have the volunteers, and you can have some liability waivers there with agritourism as well in the state of Utah.
This would be something year round you're looking to do, or it'd be?
Yeah. But it would also be very controlled. It'd be by appointment only. 1 to 10 visitors every half hour to an hour, basically. It would be very controlled, and it's not something I have time to do all day, every day. I run 2 other businesses.
Agritourism, is that something that's already in our
No, this is why we are calling it a animal encounter facility. Agritourism is a whole new animal that, or a whole nother animal that we, yeah,
No pun intended, but.
yeah.
Very much intended.
Usually animal encounter starts the news article with something bad to happen.
Are we asking for this, when we call it animal encounter facility, you're asking specifically and only for this specific type of business to be run within an R121?
That is the intent. So it would be conditional for everybody in the R121 zoning.
But only for like an animal encounter, so I'm, like other businesses, for example, I know there's stuff listed in here about social gatherings or a wedding venue or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not asking for anything like that.
So if we were to approve this, we'd be looking at something saying that in R121, we can allow call it an agri business or agri whatever, animal encounter option would be, what are the conditional uses that allowed within that?
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
I like it. I think it's very.
I bet you'll print money
inventive. Yeah.
with this thing, because people will come from Salt Lake like crazy.
Well, that, and we have a.
Charge them
free
more.
Splash.
Check their
Yeah.
license plate.
It is 300 miles out.
Right. Seems like 300 miles, but it's only 90 miles back.
But it's only 30 miles back.
I have been out to your property, Nicole, and I could see how this would work. One of the concerns I do have with R121 is that it's R121 can have a half acre. So if we allow this in a half acre, are you going to also say someone else that has a smaller lot wants to do this? I could see where it would work really well with what you have here.
Right, and that's why my suggestion was that there has to be a cap, that you have to be like, if you are zoned R121, then you need at least 4 acres in order to do something like this. I haven't subdivided my 5-acre property. It's zoned and I could, but I really can't because there's also restrictions, because back here, I have to have a road that comes from Clay Street all the way across through the Fosson's land to be able to access this, because I can't. Or I can buy the land next door for $2.5 million. And then I could knock down the front 2 houses and then I could go through and get in there and create another subdivision. That's not my goal. That's not what I want. I'd love to have my kids live in the backyard, but that's not gonna happen.
And I think, there's a limit of how many, I guess these would be considered medium-sized animals.
No, they would be considered large size,
they?
even though
Okay.
they're minis.
They're Dexters though.
They are cute. I have
You
one.
looked them
They're
up.
tiny.
So anybody who is on a half acre would still have to meet that.
The same restrictions for a number of animals.
Yeah, available area requirement and 100 feet from neighboring houses and things like that. So not, even though it's a great idea, I think it's very inventive and well supported. I think not everybody's going to be able to do this. I mean, I would support it. So this is just a discussion item to get a feel for how conversations would go if you came for a conditional use permit, correct?
Yes.
We do this with everything, and I've just never noticed, like, do we talk about everything before it's brought before as like an actual, because sometimes just an application comes, right?
Correct. So this would be an addition to the code first, and then she would be able to apply for a conditional use permit. The concern was the staff, because there are multiple properties in the R121 zoning that would allow individuals to do this, that there was a concern and suggested that a rezone to the R1 was better than to leave it into the R121 zoning. And so
Because it
that's the
would
point of
create
this
so much
conversation.
work.
So no, we typically don't unless we feel like it might be a popular conversation.
So let's just, let's say someone with a half acre lot, they wanted, how many animals, I guess you can't really do it without your fancy map and your circles, but like how many animals could they do this with on just a normal half acre with, in the middle of the subdivision?
Probably maybe 2,
Okay.
2 or 3.
So we're not
depends on-
opening a big can of worms by doing this.
I mean, potentially, like, we're restricting it, you have to have at least 2.5 acres to do this, but like, if you go, if you look in this area here, so almost the majority of this lower half of Grantsville is in the half acre lots, and so you have a lot of properties that are next to homes and large subdivisions that you would allow that use in.
They could ask for it, but it would have to be within other city code or match other city
Yeah.
codes. What does this do if we did, you're getting our opinion, if we do, we're looking at that rezoning to R1? I'm just curious. Or is that what you were suggesting, saying that was one of the other options?
Yeah.
What would that do to you, Nicole, in this case?
Well, it took me 1 year and 9 months to rezone to where I'm at now. And it would really set me back and cost me a lot more money that I've already feel like I've invested so much money in all of the requirements that it took to become a R121. And so starting over because I have a new idea, it would be very difficult. And I know it will take another 1.5 years plus.
Fair enough.
What, oh, sorry. Why did you rezone in the first place? What was the purpose?
Well, we created this subdivision in order to have, to be able to build another home there on the property. And then a future thought of, you know, what if we could build behind the barn and build houses down the lane for our kids someday? But it got squashed because you have to have another access. They said,
Okay.
you know,
Yep.
the houses that we have now, plus one, on that subdivision lane and a barn dominium, I do have approved, but I can't do any more down that one lane in order to access the back. There's no
With all the easements and setbacks
options.
and,
Yeah, I got you.
I'm supportive. I like your idea a lot. I just, for the city, I think we need to be very careful that we don't open this up to any R121.
Well, that's
without
why I
the
was saying if it was, if you are in 121, could you say that you have, in order to be considered, you need at least 4 acres to do this? Is that something that could be?
Just looking at Tyson.
Yeah, yes, I mean, that's part of the conditions that could be stated in the code is that it's, you know, it's conditional within our R121 or other zones that may be applicable as well, but yeah, the minimum lot size of 2 acres, 3 acres, 4 acres, some or 6 acres for that matter. If you say, look, I like this idea, but
I want, yes, that would work for me. I just want to make sure we have something where it doesn't put the city in a bind. We're trying to fit this into a smaller piece where it works
Right.
for you. I think what you're proposing here, I think.
Where
your
everybody on the
location-
half acre wants to
I
bring
mean, the
in.
people might have that dream, say, hey, Nicole's got a great idea, I want to do it at my place, but it doesn't work because of the public access issues or parking and everything where you guys are able to account for that, so.
Okay. Yes.
I'll split talking.
What would
No,
be the
you're
time
good.
frame on this? I just want to be able to tell my daughters when I
Oh,
like out
yeah,
the road.
like, I mean, you can come next weekend. We'll be home.
introductory tour.
Yes.
We have so many Highland cow stuffed animals in my house, it's
Oh, my
ridiculous.
goodness. Okay. Brett, did you have any input?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Do you have anything, Gary?
No, I'd rather try to figure out a way to do it in a conditional use. I just think if we're trying to rezone for a specific property,
I don't think we're trying to rezone, that's what they're saying.
Well, I know, but that was part of the, could you rezone to in R1, which. But I do think I think like what Tyson said, if we could find some conditional use language, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Okay, perfect.
Can you put an address as a condition? Can't get that specific?
I don't know if we'd want to be that restrictive.
I think we just need to be a little creative on how
On
much
size.
land has to be with that, within R121 with enough buffer, and maybe that's multiple lots like you have available, but just something that we can write in there that allows this kind of work in R121 if there's enough land to support it around it.
Perfect.
That's what I would say.
Okay. I like that. Thank you, Jason. Okay, do you have any other questions for Nicole?
I do not.
All
Okay,
right,
thanks.
thank you so much.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you, Shelby. Okay. Super. We'll close agenda item 2, and then we are moving on to the presentation, agenda item 3, presentation, and then a public hearing, discussion and consideration of an order to show cause regarding the conditional use permit for green wood tire recycling located at 167 Old Lincoln Highway. Shelby?
I just want to clarify, Tyson, should we do a public hearing first and then the order to show cause? Just because we have to swear everyone in?
Yes, I think the public hearing would likely be helpful unless it's a witness that is going to be called. That's the thing. Any witness would need to be sworn in.
Yeah. He's calling in Shane. He's calling in one witness.
Okay, so we would need them sworn in as well. So
Correct.
If there's a public hearing on it, we can have it now
Okay.
and then move forward or some other ways, so as long as there's no evidence being presented in the public hearing.
Okay, I'll do a very brief overview if I'm getting into the woods, so you let me know. So this is a presentation, public hearing and discussion and consideration of the order to show cause regarding the conditional use permit for Greenville tire recycling. What we are asking is the planning commission to review any evidence that is presented by city staff as well as the applicant of Greenville, and determine if they were in violation of their conditional use permit or if they were in compliance with it, and if the city wants to add or modify any conditions. And essentially that's what we're asking. So this is located off of Old Lincoln Highway and in between SR 138.
Can you remind us when the conditional use permit was granted?
It was granted in 2025 of last year.
In March or,
I think it was June 19th.
oh, was it June? Oh. My recollection's good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, June 20th and 19th.
June 20. Thank you. Okay. So with the advice of Tyson, we will go ahead and open the public hearing on agenda item 3. That is the consideration of an order to show cause regarding conditional use permit for Greenville tire recycling located at 167 Old Lincoln Highway. If there's any folks who would like to enter public comment into the public record, please approach the podium and state your name. Guess if you are not part of the two
Yeah,
parties.
Not the
right?
applicant yet. We'll just let the public come up.
Yeah, if you're not part of the parties,
Can we confirm that Jackie is online and that she's able to
She
do the
is.
interpretation of this entire portion?
She is available and online.
Okay,
she checked in.
so we'll need her to be doing live interpretation with us. So we'll need to speak, in English and then give a moment of pause for her to interpret Spanish.
Okay.
Not at this time, Jackie.
You know, it will be so much easier if I have a phone number and I'll be able to interpret simultaneous with no interruption for the public. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I will get his number.
So you can have
Okay.
her,
Yeah.
okay, yep.
Yes,
Thank you, Jackie.
well,
Great idea,
you're
Jackie.
welcome. No, you're welcome.
Super.
You're good. If you want to call the.
Okay. Is there anybody who would like to enter public comment on this item to the record? If you're not part of the discussion, that will be swearing in, sorry. Yes.
Good evening.
Hello, please state your name.
Camille Miller, 629 Alley Avenue in Grantsville. I come here as a concerned citizen. I live not far from this recycling plant, so I drive by it frequently every day. And I just wanted to make it a matter of record that we, as concerned citizens, there was a group of us that came down in the end of May and raised our concerns to the city about the recycling plant and the amount of tires that were being kept on the facility. And when I looked at the conditional use permit that was approved in 2025, it stated on there that the employees would only have one trailer on the facility and a semi truck and 1 to 2 outside storage trailers. Like I said, I drive by this every single day. And there is more than the 1 to 2 trailers that was approved for this conditional use permit. There is also supposed to be no tires, outside storage for the tires. And there is a mountain of tires behind the facility. And as I have gone past, I've noticed that for the longest time, there was nothing being done. There was nobody there working. There was no tires being recycled, but the amount of tires continue to grow. So when we came down and made those concerns, it took a couple of weeks for somebody to get back with us. And it was the city manager. And at that time, we were told that they were working on this violation of this recycling plant, and that they were basically back to zero in compliance of making sure that this person was in compliance with their conditional use permit. So my question to you is, where was the enforcement officer that the city pays for to have these conditional use permits being enforced? And 2, why was he allowed to continue to receive tires when we were told that the machine was broken and had been broken for quite a while? And they were waiting for a new recycling tire machine or the parts from Europe. So that took a while. And the other question that I have is, why, at that time, why was he still continued to be able to bring tires on there? And why is he still being able to bring tires? The amount of tires that he has on that property, it's going to take.
Sorry, that's 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll just wrap it up really quickly. The amount of tires, it's going to take months and months to recycle those. So I would say that at this point, he shouldn't be able to receive any more tires. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you for tracking that.
My name is Sherry North. I live at 650 Old Lincoln Highway. And just a quick note. I'd like to know when he was in violation and who did someone okay the violation that he get more tires? And where's the oversight on all of this? And I don't know if anybody remembers, you guys might probably don't remember, but there was a huge tire fire in Grantsville at one time. And it was just awful. They burned forever. They stink. There's no way to put them out. So if that caught on fire and there was the pallets next door to that, it'd be a mess. Thank you.
Okay, if there's anybody online that is not involved directly with either of the parties, that would like to enter a public comment into the record, please raise your hand so Nicole can allow you to speak. Okay, Nicole's indicating nobody is online to enter public comment, and we are not receiving any indication that there's further public comment from the folks here in person. So we'll bring this back for commission discussion. This is a planning commission hearing on whether the conditional use permit issued to Greenwell Tire Recycling at 167 Old Lincoln Highway has been violated, and the subsequent actions that the city must take.
Oh, you wanna come up?
So this is conditional use permit 202-5077 for Greenwell Tire Recycling, and we have an interpreter.
Yeah, so hold on, I'm gonna help walk you through this. So, you need to ask the applicant if he wants an interpreter.
Oh,
And then this is where the applicant will state yes or no.
okay. Would you say,
Yeah, my name is Humberto Miranda. I'm the owner, co-owner, along with my brother. And no, I don't need an interpreter.
Okay.
okay,
Yeah, this is Eduardo Miranda. I don't need an interpreter.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you. Tyson, is that sufficient then? And we just advise,
So that would be, your ruling would determine whether an interpreter would be required. They've waived it on the record, and if you needed to, if you felt it was appropriate to dismiss Jackie Dale and relieve her of her services today, you could.
okay. So Tyson is our city legal representative and he's described the option to relieve the interpreter who's offered her services of providing interpretation services. I just want to double check, make sure you both agree, Roberto and Eduardo. You don't need any interpreter?
We don't, no.
Okay. Then as Planning Commission Chair, I think that we will abide by the decisions made of the representatives here and relieve the interpreter of any further time spent on this item. Jacqueline, if you're online, thank you for hanging with us and listening to the previous agenda items, and I think we'll relinquish your commitment here. Was that part of my script? Because I
Yep,
can.
no, that's fine. And then you just need to
Okay,
do your procedural ruling by the chair, and then you need to administer the oath and roll on procedural matters.
okay, so this item is considering the order to show cause regarding conditional use permit 2025077 for Greenville Tire Recycling located at 167 Old Lincoln Highway. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the conditions of the conditional use permit has been fully complied with. Under section 7.16 of the Grantsville Land Use Ordinance, the Planning Commission may conduct the hearing or may, after conducting the hearing, either revoke the conditional use permit or number two, allow the use to continue under its existing conditions, or number three, add new terms and conditions to the conditional use permit. The Planning Commission may also take action to compel offending structures or uses to be removed at the cost of the violator or property owner, subject to applicable enforcement procedures. The Commission's decision must include findings of fact and a ruling based upon the evidence presented during the hearing. So the parties here today, for the record, will be will the following persons identify themselves? The property owner or property owner's representative. Okay, would you mind stating your name for the record?
Jim Sweden.
Jim Sweden, thank you. The owner or operator of Greenville Tire Recycling.
That's me, Humberto Miranda.
And Eduardo Miranda.
Okay, the city staff members representing the matter.
Shelby Moore, Planning and Zoning Administrator. And you state your name, Dave.
Dave Pluff, code enforcement officer.
You as well, Bill.
Bill Kobe, the Community Development Director.
And you didn't like any witnesses to state their name?
Thank you. The Grantsville Fire Marshal or Fire Department representative.
Nick Critchlow.
Hello, Nate. And any representative of the state or another regulatory agency that may be present?
No, no one showed up.
Okay. Okay.
The witness.
We should probably have their witness state their name.
Oh, yes. So,
Shane Alt.
sorry, Shane, how do you spell your last name?
AULT.
Thank you. So you are the witness supporting our property owners and company facilitators. And I did not gather who is intending to testify. So Shane, you are intending to testify. Please state yes, okay?
Yes.
Eduardo, are you willing to testify?
Yes.
Yes. Roberto?
Yep,
Okay.
as well.
Awesome. Shelby, you're willing to testify. Dave?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Bill? Yes, okay. And Nate?
Nick.
Nick,
Yes.
sorry,
Yes,
I knew that. Okay. So section 7.16 requires the following procedures. So the property owner, who I forgot to get an agreement to testify, Jim Sweden, are you able to testify? Okay. So the property owner and responsible parties must be allowed to present relevant evidence in support of their position. All persons who present evidence must first take an oath or affirmation to tell the truth. The oath or affirmation will be administered by me as chair of the Planning Commission. I will rule on the procedural matters during the hearing. A procedural ruling by the chair may be reversed by a majority vote of the other Planning Commission members present. The Planning Commission's final decision must include findings of fact and a ruling. Testimony must address the conditional use permit, the alleged violations, the current condition of the property, any corrective actions, regulatory compliance, fire and safety conditions or appropriate conditions of approval. Then the speakers must address the commission through the chair and may not interrupt another person speaking. The commission may ask questions of any witness, and each party will be given a reasonable opportunity to present relevant evidence and respond to evidence presented by another party. So I will administer the oath or affirmation. And so anybody who is willing or expects to testify, if you'd please stand and raise your hand.
Yeah, can we do like a big group one?
I think simultaneous is
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Is that
So just-
okay?
And then with a verbal confirmation of each
Of
party.
Okay. Let me go back to my list first. Okay. So everyone who expects to provide testimony, please stand and raise your right hand. And do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony and evidence you will provide to the Planning Commission concerning this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And then we will go through. So Jim?
Yes.
Answer yes, okay. Roberto?
Yes.
Yes. Eduardo?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Shane?
Yes.
Okay, Shelby?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Okay. Bill?
Yes.
And Nick?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. So the record will reflect that the persons intending to testify have taken an oath or affirmation required by section 7.16. And anyone who arrives later or decides to testify after this point must take the oath or affirmation before providing testimony. So the city staff may now present the order to show cause, the conditions alleged to be out of compliance, and the evidence supporting those allegations.
So on June 19th, I'm just gonna go back when this was approved and then proceed forward. So on June 19th, 2025, the Planning Commission approved the Greenville Tire Recycling to operate a tire recycling collection station at 167 Old Lincoln Highway. The approved operation was limited to temporary storage of the tires within trailers for resale, recycle, or reuse. The conditional use permit expressly prohibits the tires from accumulating on the ground and prohibits expansion of the approved conditional use without city approval. Beginning in December 2025, the city inspections documented a substantial accumulation of tires stored on the grounds. Subsequent inspections, correspondence, state review, photographs, and aerial documentation indicated that the tire pile remained on the property for several months after the city issued a notice of violation. The Utah Division of Waste Management and Radiation Control estimated that at least 60,000 waste tires were present during its January 12th, 2026 inspection, including more than 1,000 tires stored on the ground. The division advised that maintaining more than 1,000 waste tires on the ground for more than 5 days requires a waste tire storage facility permit unless an applicable exception or waiver applies. The Greenville obtained state waste tire recycler and transportation registration after the January inspection. However, those registrations do not authorize violation of city conditional use permit and do not constitute approval of a waste tire storage facility permit. As of the preparation of this report, the record only demonstrates that Greenville initiated the state storage facility permitting process. The Greenville submitted a corrective action plan dated May 29th, 2026, proposing to eliminate an estimated inventory of 20,000 to 24,000 tires by August 21st, 2026. And I do just want to rewind just in that time from when the permit was issued to December, when we sent out our first violation, there was a building permit pulled and correspondence between staff and the applicants trying to get the electrical and the breakers as well as the equipment installed and fixed and up and running. So there was that time period where it was not running. So the Planning Commission should consider the most current evidence presented at the hearing when determining whether the stockpile has been removed or whether the operation is now capable of sustained compliance. The applicant stated that most businesses occur at customer locations. The operation would have 2 employees, approximately 4 to 8 customers would be served per day, and a semi-truck 28-foot trailer would be used to collect tires, or 1 or 2 48 trailers would be used primarily for storage, and on-site chemicals would be limited to basic truck maintenance products. The approved permit provides approval is for the tire recycling station with temporary trailer storage, hours of operation Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Expected number of customers is 4 to 8 per day. The conditional use permits occur. The conditions of approval for the conditional use permit was a current business license, must be maintained at all times. The operation must remain within the parameters of the application. The use may not expand without city approval. The operation must remain compliant with local, state, and federal tire disposal and recycling regulations. The proper waste disposal and sanitation measures must be maintained at all times. Storage of tires is limited to trailers. Tires must not accumulate on the ground. All trailers must be parked on a designated surface and may not obstruct driveways or fire lanes. Hazardous materials other than basic truck maintenance products must be stored on site. Signage and lighting requires separate permitting review, and the permit is subject to periodic administrative review by the community development director and zoning administrator, and review when complaints are received. The alleged violations is the order to show cause pertaining to violations of conditions 4, 6, and 7, compliance with applicable regulations. The state January 12th, 2026 inspected and identified more than 1,000 tires stored on the ground and estimated that at least 60,000 waste tires were present at the facility. In March 25th, 2026, letter, the Division of Waste Management and Radiation Control explained that a state waste tire storage facility permit is required when more than 1,000 tires are stored on the ground for more than 5 days. The division letter indicates that Greenville did not have the waste tire storage facility permit at this time of the inspection. And then they obtained the registration for the SW 637 and the waste transportation registration TR 2026-02, effective February 11th through December 31st, 2026. On July 29th, 2026, Greenville notified the city that that they were applying for a waste tire storage facility permit, submitted records and documents that the application and neighboring property notification. It does not establish that the state has issued the permit. Number 6, tires lifted to trailer storage. Condition 6 expressly requires tires to be stored within the trailer and prohibits tires from accumulating on the ground. The city code enforcement documented tires stored on the ground beginning December 1st, 2025, and the city issued a notice of violation on December 16th, 2025, and allowed 30 days for correction. The state's January 12th inspection documented a large waste tire on the ground behind the main building. The city inspections through spring and summer of 2026 reportedly continued to document tires stored outside the trailers. We are asking the planning commission to determine based on the evidence and testimony, whether tires accumulated on the ground, how long the accumulation remained, whether the accumulation continued after the notice of violations, whether additional tires were accepted, whether the pile has now been removed, and whether the operator has demonstrated the ability to maintain future compliance. Condition 7, designated surfaces and fire lane access. Condition 7 requires trailers to be parked on a designated service and prohibits obstruction of driveways or fire lanes. The planning commission should take into consideration the testimony and or memo from the fire marshal, code enforcement officer, the operator, and other witnesses in this hearing. The order to show cause identifies potential violations of the NFPA one relating to outdoor tire storage, pile dimensions, separation from buildings and exposure, tires remaining on rims, and tires storage within a building that is not protected by an approved automatic sprinkler system. The fire code analysis estimated that the primary pile at approximately 48 feet wide, 102 feet long, 25 feet high, and 122,400 cubic feet in volume. The analysis indicates that tires were stored against or immediately adjacent to a building. That pile may exceed the maximum permitted height. Some tires remain mounted on rims. Tires were stored within a building that did not have an approved sprinkler system and required access or separation. Distances may not have been maintained. These matters should be established through sworn testimony and supporting evidence. Greenville did submit a corrective action plan that was given to the planning commission. They've submitted 2 of them, one last week and then one a few months ago for corrective action. The plan estimated approximately 20,024 tires and proposed processing approximately 310 to 370 tires per working day, operating Monday through Friday and monitoring inventory weekly, maintaining photographic demonstrations, providing progress information to the city upon request, and notifying the city of additional equipment and failure, and eliminating the remaining inventory by approximately August 21st, 2026. The proposed action plan did not amend the conditional use permit and did not authorize continued storage of tires on the ground. Its submission may be considered as evidence of the operator's proposed corrective efforts. But the planning commission should compare the proposed milestones against actual site conditions. August 4th, Greenville submitted a, I don't want to state a traffic impact study because that's not what it was. It wasn't by a certified engineer, but it was a estimated daily trips of equipment in and out of the facility. So approximately 1 incoming truck per normal day, as many as 4 incoming trucks on a peak day. So when we say incoming, that's material brought into the facility. And then approximately 1 outbound processed material truck per day, and approximately 3 employee vehicles. Approximately 10 vehicle trips on a normal day, and approximately 16 vehicle trips under peak scenarios. The study also described an operating schedule of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and vehicle access windows of approximately 6:30 to 5:30, which meets or is in compliance with the conditional use permit of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. So enforcement history, April 18th, 2025, Greenville submitted its CUP application. June 19th, the planning commission approved the CUP. June 20th, the CUP was signed and issued. December 1st, 2025, code enforcement documented a large tire accumulated on the ground. December 16th, the city issued a notice of violation citing conditions 4, 6, and 7, and allowing 30 days for correction. January 12th, 2026, the city and state representatives inspected the property. February 11th, Greenville obtained its state tire waste, tire transportation, and registration. March 12th, 2026, the operator reported that the tire shredder was not operating and was scheduled for repair. Throughout this time, the operator was in communication with us prior to that as well. We had a building permit that was being inspected consistently for the electrical. So they had to redo a lot of the electrical to operate this equipment. March 23rd, the staff observed some reduction in the tire pile. The operator stated that the processing had resumed. April 6th, staff observed limited additional reduction and instructed the operator to discontinue accepting additional tires until the existing pile was substantially reduced. April 14th, staff reported that the pile appeared generally unchanged and that the additional tires were present. April 27th, the operator reported processing approximately 900 tires per day. Staff reported only minimal visible reduction and continued tire deliveries. April 28th, May 4th, and May 6th, code enforcement made additional attempts to contact the operator. May 29th, the Greenville submitted its 90-day corrective action plan. June 3rd, the community development director, the city attorney, and the fire marshal reviewed the continued compliance concerns. June 9th, Greenville authorized the city to conduct inspection, drone photography, mapping, and site documentations, which has been provided to the Planning Commission. June 10th through August 9th, the city conducted periodic aerial documentation of the property. June 25th, the order to show cause was mailed by certified mail to the property owner and business operator. July 2nd, the city received a residential complaint and photographs concerning the tire accumulation. July 15th, certified mail addressed to the business owner was returned and unclaimed. July 20th, the city records indicate that the order to show cause was personally delivered by a police officer to the business. July 29th, Greenville notified the city that it had applied for a state waste tire storage facility. And then August 6th, Greenville submitted its traffic impact study. August 18th, the Planning Commission is scheduled in between August 6th and 18th. Greenville did submit an updated plan to address the issues. Sorry, it's a lot of talking. I just want to read. So staff recommends to the Planning Commission to find Greenville in violation of condition 6 by storing the quantity of tires on the ground. Find the violation remained after notice and an opportunity to correct it. Allow the CUP to continue under a 6-month compliance period. Permit Greenville to continue processing tires during that period. Require outgoing material to exceed incoming material so that stockpile is consistently decreased. Require weekly reports and photographic evidence. Require an interim staff review after the periodic 3 months. Require a final compliance review at the end of 6 months and direct staff to return the CUP to the Planning Commission for further action if substantial progress and compliance have not been achieved. And then I will just show some pictures of the drone footage. So this is, I believe in July is when we called out when we started flying over the facility. This is the next week. The next week. You can see now that this area here has been opened up as well as this corner. Tires have started accumulating here. It appears to remain the same through the next week and no changes. Okay, so this is just their letter to Grantsville City letting them know that they have applied for a permit with the state. This is just the parcel information. Here's 4 through 6 on the conditional use permit for them to answer. This is the other conditional, this is the original conditional use permit. Here are the NFPA fire codes. So 33.1.3 apparatus access to separate tire piles for effective firefighting and separation of yard storage from buildings, vehicles, flammable material. It references 33.110, 33.2.1.1, and so forth regarding tires, sizing, width. From the fire marshal, the conclusion is the following things are not in compliance. The tires that are being stored against the building, the pile is too large, and there are tires that still have rims in them. Tires cannot be stored in the building as the building does not have a fire sprinkler system. This is the notice of hearing, the order to show cause. This is the original approved conditional use permit. Here is the traffic daily trip estimate that was provided. This is just discussions between staff and the state. Sorry, I know this is a very long staff
that's okay.
report. Here's a letter from the state. On January 12th, the representatives of the Division Waste Management and Radiation Control conducted inspection facility, and then they reference the permit number. A copy of the solid waste program inspection report is enclosed in the scope of the inspection was determined compliance with the Utah Solid and Hazardous Waste Act and Administrative Code R315. This letter is to inform you of opportunities for improvements noted by the inspectors, and then it references if they're going to allow more than 1,000 tires to stay on the ground, then they need to apply for specific permits and how to apply for those permits. They also had recommended action. And then they reference state codes on how to apply if you're going to have more than 1,000 tires. This is the inspection report. On January 7th, a representative from the Division of Management and Radiation Control received a complaint regarding Greenville on Old Lincoln Highway. On January 12th, the division representative conducted a compliance evaluation inspection at Greenville. Upon arrival at the facility, the division representatives met with representatives from Grantsville City and Mr. Humberto Miranda, who introduced himself as one of the 2 owners of Greenville. Mr. Miranda directed all parties into a fully enclosed building that houses the main recycling equipment. He stated that the equipment can shred up to 1,000 tires an hour. However, the equipment is currently not in operation due to technicalities with electrical connections with Rocky Mountain Power. He stated this will be resolved in a few days and tires were observed within the building. He stated that these tires will be resold due to their conditions once in operation. He stated that the processed tires will go to a cement kiln in northern Utah, and some of the processed tires will go to the landfills to be used as alternative daily cover. Behind the main building, the division representatives observed a large pile, estimating around 60,000 tires. As a result, the compliance evaluation inspections representative educated and informed the applicant of the Utah Waste Tire Recycling Act and the Utah Admin Code. The applicant stated he'll work on submitting both waste tire recycler and waste tire transportation registrations, which he did demonstrate he applied for to the division, and will not accept any additional waste from the tire retailers until he has been granted approval of his registration. He agreed with Grantsville representatives that he'll keep them updated in terms of his conditional use permit with the city to ensure compliance of the regulations. So here's a sign. This was inside the shop. It is a pretty neat machine to see in person. This is just pictures up close of the pile. Here is from the applicant, the corrective action that was submitted in May. I'm just stating how many tires he can process and the current inventory. Week 1, it'll target processing 1,800 tires. Week 2, additional 1,800 tires. And so through each week, up until August 17th, they anticipated processing up to an average of 1,800 tires. They will maintain weekly records, a number of tires processed, remaining inventory, operational days, photos of inventory reduction, equipment operational status. And then a signature just stating that they'll implement the tire reduction schedule. That is all I have, unless you guys would like me to show you the drone footage that was sent to you, as well as other documentation.
I've seen.
Okay.
You have like latest updates, pictures?
Yeah, I can pull those up.
Okay, thank you, Shelby. So the planning commission members may now ask questions of the property owner and operators.
Tyson, do they get to present any evidence or speak before questions, I guess?
Procedurally, that's up to the chair. I think that's a fine suggestion.
I appreciate that suggestion too, because that will probably answer questions that commission members may have. So, Roberto and Eduardo, if you have evidence you would like to present to show that you have been in compliance with the previously issued conditional use permit, we're happy to hear that evidence now.
Yes,
And they are waiting for me to pull it up.
yeah, we've submitted some of this, I don't know, I guess I can try to summarize the situation. It was kind of it's our first adventure going into starting a business, right? So, obviously got the conditional use permit and then eventually got the machine. Everything was okay, but obviously by that point, when we got the conditional use permit, per landlord said, don't collect any tires until we have the machine. You know, it makes sense. So I met with, future customers, let them know the situation, what's going on. Told them by the end of the year, it should be fine. We did get the machine. We had to have it delivered from Virginia, which that was kind of a process too. By the end of the year, we had the machine. The other situation was we had to get it operational, electrical, and come find out needed to install a new transformer box, and that took quite a while. Right, that's why Shane's here to testify to that. He's the one who helped install it. So, yeah, that's pretty much the reason why the pile got. We've been playing from behind from the get-go. Yeah, that machine is awesome. The CM dual speed tire shredder. It's just like if anyone's ever seen those videos, it's kind of cool to watch. It just shreds. It's like a machine, just let it eat, and yeah, basically, as far as compliance, so the updated pictures, see, we realized we were shredding about 200 tires more than what we were bringing in, which our assumption is about 40,000 tires. So, obviously that'd be 10 years, 20 years to get to that. So, we ended up saving some money. We just purchased a brand new trailer, 48-foot, like a dump trailer. And that thing is, so instead of using our regular dump truck, which holds 7 to 8 tons of product, and having to go to landfill and whatnot, now this thing is, we're taking anywhere between 25 and 30 tons per day instead of 7 and 8, right? So that's 4 times more than, and that's where you'll see the last few weeks, it's been a massive dent in the tire piles and stuff, so.
Okay. So do you understand? I was new to the
Okay.
commission relatively new when this came to us for consideration originally. And I recall having some conversations about ensuring that the perimeter fence was up and things would be maintained there. And I'm just, what portions of the evidence that Shelby's presented regarding the conditional use permit requirements, do you feel like you had to abide by any of those, that you might be in compliance with any of those 6 or 7 items? Or there was some requirements with the conditional use permit, the original one?
Yeah, I think, obviously we were not in compliance. Like I said, we fell behind 6 months to get everything operational. But, you know, catching up, we're kind of at that point where now we're finally fully 100% operational. And which is why we've submitted, you know, the plan of action, 100-day plan of action with verifiable proof. So receipts, invoices and whatnot from where we've been taking the product, right? So, yeah, I don't know if that doesn't really answer the question.
Okay. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If do you have any other evidence to present that might help, or?
I want to kind of clarify what he just stated or ask a
Yes.
question to follow.
Yep, I just wanted.
So you said you're following a plan that you've submitted. Based on the record we saw here, you've submitted 2 plans. One of them you would have been in compliance by August 21st. I'm getting that you're not doing that one. That plan did not go through. Can you please explain the difference between the 2 plans? I've read the one plan that's for later, but I wonder what the difference is and what other than you've started, what gives us confidence that you would be able to complete this plan?
Equipment. So instead of like a regular dump truck, right, it's a 16-foot bed or whatever, and that can hold, you know, anywhere between 6 and 8 tons per load, per load. Whereas now we have any pictures of the new dump?
That's what I was looking for. I think we've got.
It was there.
So yeah, we purchased a new dump trailer and it's open top one, you know, it's exclusively designed for products like this, so.
So are you stating that the trailer, because you have the trailer was the limiting factor in why you couldn't complete the first plan?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's almost looks like a semi-trailer, just with the top open.
Yeah, essentially it's kind of what it is. It's like a big long trailer, but it's open top and the material falls in. So instead of like, if we fill up one dump truck, you know, unfortunately Tooele County, we thought they were gonna be able to allow us to bring, you know, shred material, but they're not accepting it. So that kind of timeline wise, it takes longer because we take our product to Intermountain Regional Landfill, right? So it's just a round trip. It's a 3-hour round, round trip. Whereas now, and that's just with a dump truck. It's essentially the same thing, but now it's a bigger trailer which holds 5 times more product. So. Oh, there's something.
Okay, so your original permit stated that all the tires would be stored in trailers.
Yes.
Could you explain how we ended up with 20,000 tires on the ground?
Yeah, as trying to reiterate was the situation of getting the electrical, everything up and running, right? Because the machine ended up drawing more current than so it kept like what do you call it? The things would the fuses would blow and everything.
Trip the breakers.
Yeah, trip the breakers. So obviously met with Rock Mount Power, like you guys gonna have to install a new transformer box and that's gonna be processed. So that took longer than expected, right? And then by that time it was a holiday weekend, so that took 1-2 weeks. Finally worked with Broken Arrow, Shane's company, electrical company. Eventually able to get that up and running, right? And from then we've just been playing from behind, and we've been like working 7 days a week, like nonstop. But plan of action, like I introduced, is obviously, because we're gonna have more available time, because this trailer is gonna hold, 5 times. So essentially, what one day does, it does, 5 days worth of a dump truck, it does it one day.
Yeah, so I mean,
And we also gonna have a double shift.
Yeah.
I did see that in your plan.
You did? Okay.
Ask a question, I guess this goes to Shane. So they were having issues with electrical. You were the electrician that handled this. Can you clarify that they are at a place now where the load that they are going to be using with these machines will be handled by the electrical system that's been
Yeah, so
upgraded
what
to?
happened is in the first part of November, we were contracted to go out and hook up a machine. So when we got out there, we found out that the machine was a lot bigger than what the service could handle. So we determined we needed, and it didn't have a main on it either. It just fed into the CT can, which is the main distribution from Rocky Mountain Power, went right into the building with no main. So we determined that we needed to put an MDP on it, which is the main distribution panel, and have it so that you had a main, actually had a main, and you had breakers to feed the other panels that were just being fed before without mains in them. That had been like that for years, from back when the brine shrimp plant was active in there. So then we start dealing with Rocky Mountain Power and their schedule, actually getting the service, out there and getting it installed. And there were just kind of bumps all the way along the way. And then when we finally get power to the machine, it won't start up. So the machine was brought from back east. It was taken apart, shipped up here, and then put back together. But we fought that for probably 3 weeks, trying to get the gremlins out of it. Called the manufacturer back there, the guy that knew things inside and out, that started from the bottom, came all the way up through, retired. The guy that took his place was a salesman, so he didn't really have any direction to go with it. So we finally were able to get a schematic, because it's an older machine. We finally got them to find a schematic for us, and then we had to start tracing it all the way down. So, I mean, you can imagine they're bringing 500 tires a day trying to get product to actually shred. And, they can't stop, because if you stop, I mean, that would be the easy thing, is say, we'll stop bringing tires in. But these are clients that if they say, okay, we can't take your tires, they're gonna go to somebody else. And so then.
Okay, I'm just reading your testimony, just, I guess, asking to get to the point so we can get there. Is
Okay.
the system right now adequate?
The system is operational.
Operational, and it will maintain operations
Yeah.
based on the load that's being required
Yeah,
from the service of the building.
so we started up, actually got it running January 22nd. But at that time, there was a pretty good size pile of tires. But I met with Bill and Shelby Thursday. And I hadn't been down there for a while, so I went down to see Eduardo. And the pile was still pretty big it was up against the building. And he said that his goal was to get an alleyway off the building, and he sent me a picture this morning that those tires aren't touching the building anymore. So that they're making an impact on the tires. It's gonna take a little bit to get it, but I mean, they
I just
could.
want to make sure the system was.
Yeah, the system is
Okay,
operational.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Jason.
Question and then just a couple of comments. So my understanding is you've applied for the state waste tire storage facility permit.
Yeah.
You understand though, that's not going to allow you to store tires based on what your conditional use permit is, right? So that permit's not going to do you any good.
Right. Essentially, it creates kind of an insurance policy. A surety bond is what we had to get.
Okay.
For situations where, let's say, we're not here anymore, how's that pile gonna be removed?
Okay.
Right.
Sorry.
Can I
Yeah,
ask?
please.
Is there no way to amend that, or is it?
I mean, I think that'd be a future conversation, but where my next comment was gonna go is this pile, the easy solution would be that you should have stopped receiving tires. So I own a couple of companies, one of the trucking company, very regulated, doesn't look like it with the gravel trucks on the road in Tooele County, but it's really regulated. One of those things is, guys have to sleep a certain amount. And if I've got product in a trailer and my guy's out of hours, he's gotta stop, because it's dangerous. There's rules in place to protect people. And that ticks off clients sometimes, when a guy has to sleep. If he's gotta do a full 34-hour reset, it makes people angry. So I understand that, hey, you didn't wanna stop taking tires because you don't wanna upset clients, but the city gave you rules and a lot of warnings, and you let this thing keep building up. So my suggestion would be, is part of this plan, whatever we do here, is there has to be no more tires coming in there until you're in compliance with the existing conditional use. Cause you could have, this was 100% in control to be in compliance, and you just kept letting them come in.
That's the trailer right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, it's great.
It's huge.
And if you gotta work double, triple shifts, whatever you gotta do to get that down, but that would be what I think needs to happen, is nothing else goes into that facility until you're in compliance. Cause I think the period of grace is passed, regardless of the equipment going down, all of that. Like I said, when my driver runs out of time, he's gotta park, cause it's the rules. So that's.
I just think we ask for some consideration,
Yeah.
because that's like the majority of our income is through,
Oh, yeah, and I understand, yeah, just, if you gotta contract more guys to haul loads out to the desert, wherever you're taking the
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
to go faster, like, but I just. Yeah, that'd be my concern. My rule of thumb always is, with my guys and my equipment and my trucking company, is if I'm not comfortable with my wife and my minivan traveling next to a semi truck on the road, I pull that truck off the road. And I hope you would not be comfortable with your family living next door to this tire pile if it caught on fire.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of my litmus test in my personal life and how I run my business, so.
and per the fire, chief, we added more extension, we added more fire extinguishers outside, and I don't have a way to point, but that, we'll send you guys some updated pictures. We created a massive gap. So yeah, pretty much what there, it also goes around the back, so it's no longer touching the building in the back.
No, that's great. That's great progress. Yeah.
So we're doing that, we're cranking, but.
Yeah. That's all I have.
And all that's cleaned out to the front. It's, if you guys saw an updated picture, you guys.
You can
So
see.
yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
And then the fire extinguisher.
So on your plan here, you have a 90 or 100-day plan to be down to 0 tires. So is this meaning that the
Well,
tires that you'll be accepting in a day will be also
so yeah,
shredded that day,
because,
so there won't be any storage on site anymore?
yeah, but I think there's maybe it's just a numbers thing, right? Cause we know how much tires we brought in and stuff, so we were guesstimating 30,000, 40,000 tires. Right, so obviously for us, we were gonna be shredding 10 tons of tire per shift, so 20 tons per day, 5 days a week. In 100 days, that's 30,000 tires. We're generally doing more than that. Every load, we're taking 24, 26, 28 tons, right? And so that, in our view, that would cover, any discrepancies or any differences that, but more importantly, you guys would visually see the evidence that, the pile getting down, like it pile's getting down, like just since we just purchased this trailer less than a month ago, and that's been the difference, so.
Yeah, we got some of the receipts right here. You can see in that they doubled the last 3 weeks.
Receipts, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
receipts. You want to see?
To loads to the dump.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got two.
it's like 192 tons.
That's
great.
Yeah, let's look at it.
But, so you meant, and I get that you're running a business and you take income by people giving you
Yeah,
tires, so.
we have a lot of
You're
tires.
saying you need to have tires to bring you tires. I get that you're in a business. What have you been doing with the income you've been generating for the last essentially 9 to 10 months, where you are taking the tires, you're taking the fees, and that you're accumulating the tires versus actually processing them. So I get that you're saying that. I like Cameron's point of saying, don't take any more tires until you can clean this up, and then
Yeah.
we're willing to talk about what that looks like, but that's where I'm having a little bit of heartburn, because you've taken the income, and I get you're trying to fix things. At the same time, you're bringing in money, but you're not actually producing
Yeah,
your.
just the cost of everything, right? It's not cheap. The machine was worth $250,000. Just this dump trailer, we got a really good deal, right? It's worth 60,000, but we end up getting super cheap for 20,000, so. That's pretty much where the majority of the funds have gone. We're not even paying ourselves right now, right? But I view it more as like an investment, because I know in the future it's gonna be worth a lot. I never even mentioned any of this because there's no concrete evidence, but we've been in communication and coordination, just a little bit about our past. We used to work for Liberty Tire Cycle, right? We were with them for together 20, well, I was there for 13 years, he was there for 11, like, we have ample, experience. It's kind of our industry, it's what we know. But yeah, it's one of those, yeah, like,
So where's Liberty Tire?
it's in Salt Lake.
in
There's
Salt
two of them. They just signed a deal with UDOT. I guess they need a certain amount of rubber because they use that for asphalt. And Liberty doesn't have the material, so they approached us about, obtaining the product. But I can't even bring it to you because it's just speculation and hearsay, right? So, but
So do you subcontract for Liberty then?
we don't work directly with them, but this might be a situation where they need product, we have a mountain of product, so.
I was gonna ask where else you were taking tires that,
Oh, well, we don't take tires, we shred them and process them, right, so we cut them down to different, like, chip sizes and, the Croydon cement plant.
Okay.
But that's seasonal, right, so they will only like 4 out of, pretty much 8 out of 12 months, couple months off, couple months on. But yeah, right now, we're kind of hoping to be able to take it to quite a few dump sites. But Tooele County, it's kind of our hope, right? Because that would have been so much easier just that we could take a few loads a day. Unfortunately, they're not taking any product and that's that, but closest one to us is Intermountain Regional,
Which is where?
it's kind of past, before you get to Eagle Mountain.
Fairview.
Okay.
Fairview. Isn't that where Jim moved to?
I think it's.
No, not Fairview,
Fairfield?
Fairfield.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Fairfield.
No, you're okay.
So
Fairview.
what assurances do we have that your new plan, you're gonna be able to action on your new plan? You've already presented a plan, like I mentioned, we didn't complete with it, now you're coming back with a new plan saying you have it. You put the numbers out, showed how you can get to that, assuming that you operate based on what you're showing in there, but give me confidence that you can actually meet that plan.
You know what, my confidence is that we got bigger size trailer and we got 2 shifts. So we'll be able to shred and take, cause we lost a lot of time with the dump trailer. Go back and forth and we're just very little tonnage with the other one, it's like 4 times just on one trip.
So
You're,
that's gonna be
With double shift,
ample
yes.
time to shred.
so you're running a dual shift.
Yes.
So how do you shred when your semi's on the road to the dump?
On the trailer's parked.
So you have 2 trailers for
Yeah.
it?
Yes, we do. That's why we have a dump truck and dump.
Yes.
But no, so you have 1 tractor,
Yeah.
2 trailers.
Yes.
Yes.
So 2 48-foot trailers. So the when one tractor trailer's on the road,
No.
the other one's backed in, or you just have the
No,
one
it's
tractor?
just
one
a
trailer?
1 48-foot trailer.
So what
dump
are you,
trailer.
so how are you shredding when that tractor is on the road?
We use the dump truck.
They have a dump truck.
Okay.
Yeah,
So is that filling up within?
It takes about 3 hours and that's about,
by the time you get-
we're
so
there
you
and
gotta
back in about
transfer from
2.
dump
Yeah.
truck to-
There's no jet
Yeah,
lag.
I'm sorry, but that trailer, the new one we got, that can shred 2 shifts and just in that one trailer.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
It's usually an all day
Yeah,
thing.
we can do all day with the 2 shifts.
Just an FYI, we shred all day and that's the early morning run, take it to the dump.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we start on the dump truck. By the time that's ready, that trailer's here. So we're trying to keep it,
So within 3 months,
yes.
what is your determined percentage of tires will be gone
I'm confident it's gonna be 100%, but
within 3 months?
yes. Oh, yes.
So you gave
Yeah,
us a
'cause
100-day plan.
Well, 100 day, you're right. But,
So
cause we're gonna be working Monday through Friday and
So
sometimes
let's say
Saturday.
half that then, so you're determined then within 6 weeks, 50% of that pile will be gone?
That's a month and a half, that's.
That's half of that
All
100
right, but
days.
you also have to consider weekdays, not weekends, right? So.
Well, no, but you gave us a 100-day plan,
Yes.
so roughly a little over 3 months.
Well, we
So
realize.
if I'm going 6 weeks, which is half of that, say 7 weeks to give you benefit. In 7 weeks, half of that pile will be gone.
Are those 100 days, 100 operating days or 100
Yes,
calendar
100
days?
operating days.
So it's not 3 months or 3.5 months, it's a lot longer than that, cause.
So we're actually talking more 6 months.
No.
Cause you're only talking 5 days a week,
day, 5 to 6 months.
that's 20 weeks. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, that's ideally for us, like, and this is like a realistic goal, right?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it, it's just, and that's kind of giving us enough room to, for any contingencies or anything, if we have maintenance issues, which obviously we haven't had any since we finished up and everything's been operational, but.
Is there allowances, Shelby, within the city or this conditional use permit where they can operate more than just the 5 days?
I mean, that would be a condition that you guys would need to put on it. You guys.
Like a Saturday shift? I'm just,
I think our issue was.
My plan is to Monday through Friday, and because we're gonna be running double shift and for Saturday maintenance, to make sure the machine's always maintained.
So you gotta like.
That's gonna be the more important thing, yes.
Yes. You guys started this business last year, right?
Yes.
So again, I don't want you guys to hurt on the business aspect of it again, but you were able to get enough clients to accumulate a tire pile that high this
Yes,
quickly,
yes.
right? So again, I'm going back to, I would like to see the flow stopped, and if you have to go back and beg for some of those clients if they leave you, but if you were able to get that many clients that fast, I would hope that a momentary pause of incoming, you could go get some of those back to get this under control. Because we gotta stop the flow to get this in compliance. So you killed it and you got all those customers. I don't know if your margins are a lot thinner than Liberty and that's how you're doing it, or however it's working, but I would assume that if you were able to get that many clients that quickly, you could get them back if needed.
Yeah, so we need some flow to get rid of the flow. It's kind of like a river, it moves the rock, that's what I'm trying to explain.
Kind of cripple us, because essentially,
Yes.
out of that tire pile, right, there's always a graded quality, right? So in our, about 12% of it is actually good used tires, and those get resold, right? Those trailers full of tires get sold as, we sell them wholesale, Victor's Tires here in Tooele, amongst many. Yeah, but that would kind of, you would probably like cut 50% of our budget if.
So what I would like to entertain is allowing them to work 7 days a week, put this all in their court and stop the flow and get this back into compliance before more tires come in.
I guess I see what you're
That's-
saying.
that's
I would
my-
only argue against stopping the flow, because once again, that's money. It takes money to run a business. And to me, they've,
Before you start one.
well, I agree, but looking at this, they put out, just $250,000 in a machine, which still has to be paid for. So if we stop that,
Yeah, we don't want them to go bankrupt.
do we force the company to go bankrupt? I understand what you're saying, but it still has to take money to make money. And to get this pile whittled down,
And
I still think you need to allow them to bring in, but I'd say you need to limit what's coming in. You gotta make sure that what's coming in is less than what's going out.
Yes, and that's kind of in our new plan of action, it's a daily, input, we're sending updates daily, what's coming in, invoices versus what we're shredding, right? And so that you guys can visually see, we're bringing in 300 tires a day, we shredded 2,000, right? So you guys will be able to visually see, and then obviously confirm your, while seeing the pile get in slowly down south.
Besides the two of you, how many other employees?
Right now, we got 6.
Yeah, 6.
And we're gonna bring 2 more, but if it's, then we might have to shut everyone but one.
Yeah, how are we gonna pay those employees to help
Yeah.
us get rid of those tires too? So that's why we need some flow, so we can get.
That's all we ask. just
Yeah, that's all we
this-
ask, yeah.
Like we've been chugging along, like we've been working probably last month straight, no days off, 7 days a week. But that's because we've invested so much in this, and it's obviously there's hiccups, right?
Yeah, I actually
It's always the hardest.
I sold my home and I invested in my brother. He took his retirement money. We all put it together. Yeah.
So do you live here
Yeah, we live in Tooele.
In Tooele,
in Tooele?
yes.
Okay, and Jim, you own the property?
Yes.
You live here?
No, I live in Bountiful.
You live in Bountiful.
I live in Bountiful.
How did you acquire this property? Just for this project?
My father bought it 4 or 5 years ago. And he lives in Twilla.
Was the building there when you bought it?
Huh?
Was the
Yes,
building there when
We
you
bought
bought
the
it?
buildings, yes.
So
Buildings and the land.
I thought that we had talked about the relationship between you all when this came in front of the planning commission the first time when you got approved. It's not referenced in the minutes, so would you mind just describing the relationship that you have with these boys here?
They came and rented, asked if they could rent, the property. We told them if they can get a building permit and all that, we'd be willing to rent to them, so.
Okay, so you have no relationship besides
No.
a business agreement
No,
and they are paying you rent.
yes,
Are they current on the rent?
yes.
Okay.
And we're
So you wouldn't be
barely,
able to make rent either if they stop the incoming tires.
No, and I understand that. My frustration comes from this, right? And I'll go back. If you wanted to start this business, you wanted to operate the business, it didn't need to look like this and it happened. And I just feel like, I mean, because December 16th was the first violation issued and it continued to grow. It's grown for the last 8 months. And I love that there's a plan going forward. There's a plan before that failed. I think maybe asking the landlord for some grace on some rent abatement for a minute, because if for some reason you boys, heaven forbid, went out of business and he's got those tires on his property, it's then his problem to figure out what to do with those tires.
Yeah.
So if there's a solution where he'll abate some rent for a couple of months while you guys get caught up so that he doesn't have a headache on his hands, I think that's a conversation worth happening. But my concern is this happened, it was completely within your control and it got way out of hand. And I'm a businessman, I understand, but like I said, like if I get pulled over by a cop, my guy's the cop shut us down, they don't care. And I don't wanna be like a cop, a police officer, but I'm frustrated that 8 months and it continued to grow where you could have slowed the flow, you could have stopped the flow. Cause if that thing caught fire, my kids are breathing that air. Right? It's an eyesore coming down from the mountain too, but like it's a legit safety issue and I think you guys let this get way out of hand, so. You know, that's all, that's less than.
yeah, can I add something? It may have been 8 months that the piles started getting bigger, but that's because per our agreement with our landlords is can't have any tires until we have the machine and, up and going. We got the machine, but then obviously the hiccup of having the electrical situation. By that point, customers were already coming in and then having to tell them we can't now pick them up, right? And so
It's tough, business is tough.
right,
Yeah.
But now, proof is in the pudding, look at our last month's invoices.
Yeah.
That's where you can tell, like, finally, we're chugging, like, it's like a train, right? It took us forever to get going, now we're chugging, right? And I feel like we'd be crippled.
Can I say something?
Yep.
To me, part of the concern is I think there's a lot of things that have happened. You can't undo those.
Right.
The pile's there, that's a fact. I think what we do going forward is where have a bigger interest in making sure that we actually make progress. I think the 100-day plan, it sounds like you put some work into it. I wouldn't be comfortable just saying we're gonna wait 100 days to find out if you did it or not. I think there would be a lot tighter inspections on there, whether it's every 10 days or something like that to say, yes, you're meeting 10% of the of the pile, and if it's not, there will be something else that will happen, because there's a lot of risk here from you as a business owner, but there's also an environmental risk. And putting on my work hat, if you get into what's called speculative accumulation, which is what happens when you get into RCRA, you lose your recycling exemption with these tires and you have a lot bigger problem because it's no longer, you don't have that option. And so you've got a lot to work on. And if you don't get done in 100 days, you're going to have other federal issues that you're going to have to deal with, which are not going to allow you to operate your system the way you want and actually take those tires and do what you want with them. So I would be open to submitting a plan with a lot heavier, tighter inspection criteria to make sure they're meeting it. But at that point, we're trying to dig out of a hole that's already there. We can't, I get what you're saying, Cameron, it is frustrating, but the problem to me is that it's there. And how do we get it cleaned up?
In our latest plan of action, it's a daily update, so we're sending in daily invoices and daily.
But not just the daily invoice, but someone needs to actually, a third party needs to verify that you're actually meeting what you're saying you're meeting. The trip tickets, everything, that's great. And it is showing that you're tracking that. I just think we need to make sure that the city is seeing that to protect the city. And if you can get this lined out as a business, that's great. I'm a little concerned just because the past track record, Shane mentioned that you guys had the system operational, or the electrical part was fixed in January, and we're still here in August trying to fix this problem. It's growing.
Was it fixed? I think it was later.
I think it's like March.
That's just what he stated, but.
Yeah,
in this plan that they have, it states that they're gonna, I'm sorry, I'm Dave.
Thank you.
It states that they're going to bring in 400 tires a day from their businesses from the
Right.
people, which I can understand because they've got people to pay. They've got to make some money, okay? But can we have them document, once they hit that 400, how many tires they chopped up out of that pile every day? That would help us monitor it a little better.
It's kind of hard, and can I add, it's just because it'd be hard, because we're kind of working on the mountain, so yeah, we're shredding that, but is that what you just would like, some kind of documentation of those 400? We could do that, we can give you an invoice, because we have receipts of how many, like, quality grade, right? So out of this pile, 400, 8 of them were good tires, you know, and then
Well, and I
392 were
understand
shredded.
Dave, would a weekly report? I mean, just thinking business wise, well, I think a weekly report may be a little bit more
that would be fine too.
substantial. It's
just so
easier
we
to
have-
produce and
Yeah,
rather than I gotta spend a lot of time every day to produce. Well, you're gonna data log it anyway, every day.
yeah.
I was just thinking, and I agree. I mean, I'm looking at the program data. I mean, I think we should be having inspections. If it's every 20 working days, that's every month.
Well,
Average working month is 20 to 22 days. So
We've been doing our flyover with the drone once a week,
I think that's,
so it helps us keep.
I think that'd be substantial. I think
if
that'd
you were
be,
able, sorry.
no, so if I'm seeing progress, and I guess I differ a little from Cal. I've learned more from my mistakes and from my failures than I have from successes. I think you guys are probably like, I think
I got gray hair.
you even said it, right? Right, Roberta, like, there's a lot of lessons you didn't realize you had to learn that you've learned. Having said that, I mean, you can't keep harming yourself and harming your business. You've got to slow the inflow a little bit while you get the outflow going. And I would agree with it. I think that's part of it. You've got to keep people employed and you got to keep expenses paid. I don't want to see this company go bankrupt now that you're a landowner and then it goes as somebody else's problem. But I do agree with Dave, like a weekly flyover with an estimated reduction of the pile so we can make sure that we're still making progress. I think that's even better than a monthly, like, hey, Elson, you try to shove something through in a 1 month, like I gotta get caught back up. Steady progress is much better than chunks.
Can I make a proposal with that? I know you're
Mhm.
trying to keep track of things. You guys had mentioned you're willing to do weekly reports.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think based on, if they know what the average tire is and they're seeing what that their tipping fees are when they're dumping that, we should have an estimate of how much they're actually producing as far as waste they're recycling or whatever you're transporting it, and how much is coming in, and you looking at those bill of ladings, being able to look at that in a format that you can see, would that satisfy your need to be able to account for how much is coming in versus how much is going out, and your visual inspection to trust but verify that that's happening?
That would help. I just, I do know this last flyover they did a couple of days ago or whenever it was. There was all along that the flyover before, you had that little nook back there in the corner, but there was still along the building. Now there is an open space along that building, so we could see that they were doing stuff.
Progress is being made.
Yeah,
And it's all the new trailer, it's all due to the new trailer.
so. But yeah, I would just like just someone to keep track and send us.
Which we did, we hired an administrator who's gonna be helping us with this, because I'm terrible at communications. I'm worse.
I would request that whatever you put together a format that you're okay with, so if they come back and say, here's
Yeah.
the report, it's in a format that you can read and
Oh, yeah.
understand, and that you're okay with whatever that agreed to whatever that reporting format is, so you can verify it in a way that you feel comfortable that you can account for what's happening going in and out.
Yeah, because I'd agree with Jason. I think the burden of proof lays on you two,
Yeah.
or Roberta, to prove what you say you're doing. Not relying on a flyover or David come over with city inspection to prove it. The burden of proof lays at your feet. If you want to dig yourself out of this hole, you got to prove to yourself that you're digging yourself out of this hole.
That's all I had.
I think so, and I think your inspection should be with their report, say, yes, I'm seeing what they are doing, and basically what you're doing, whatever, but yes, here's their burden of proof, yes, I agree with what's being said, or no, it's not, then we have a different discussion going forward.
Yeah, works.
And then I would ask that if we're seeing a deviation from that, we're notified and maybe we pick in a month. I mean, is that, I guess you're going back to the chair, but I think we should have something where we have an update, even if it just comes back from you as inspector, just to say at a month update of where, if you're seeing that progress, meeting what we're seeing on that schedule.
Okay.
Would that be a fair way to just for you to update us on whether we're complying with what or we're working on?
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay.
So just to be clear, so Jason, what you're asking is that we get an update on the September 15th planning commission meeting. Just let us know what progress is being made.
And the expectation is based on when they would start, which your proposed date, I think in the plan was August 21st, was that right?
20th, I believe.
20th?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah, I think that's-
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, yeah.
We've been working kind of as of last week, but
Flyovers can't.
kind of just, everything's like back to normal with our guys, right? So.
All right, that would be my recommendation.
Please.
Go ahead.
Does the city own a drone or are we having to pay a drone operator every time this happens?
We-
Okay, all right. Just make-
We got one in the department.
Hey, guys.
Back to you, Sarah.
Roberto and Eduardo. You folks are trying to rectify the situation that you let get out of control. And there's lots of excuses that we've heard
Yeah.
about why that we've gotten to this point, but there's really no reasoning as to why you had come to the city and explain the situation, and it wouldn't have taken 6 months for Dave to take on this monstrosity in trying to enforce the conditional use permit and involve all these other people. If you would have just come to the city when you knew it was out of control and you weren't meeting the conditions of the original conditional use permit and the commitment that you made to the city. I want you to just be cognizant of the time and effort that it's taken so many people now when some simple communication to Shelby's office, Bill's office, or Dave's office would have mitigated this whole conversation. And I know how hard it is to take accountability for our actions, and I can see that you're willing to work towards rectifying it. But this, I think what Cameron's concern is that it took less than 6 months for it to get out of control. And we will not let it get out of control again. And I think Jason and sorry, I'm a little frustrated. Gary and Jason stated some very obvious expectations, but I think that we don't want to put any more burden on our city folks, our staff, who aren't making the money that you're making. And they have the same level of commitments to you and everybody else that's running a business in the city. You need to stay in constant communication. You need to come up with how you are reconciling your efforts every week. And you need to send that to Dave, and Dave needs to approve that report that you are going to come up with. That's going to show how you're reconciling, because my calculations put 20 weeks at the second week of January, working 5 days a week. And I know that's a lot to ask, working 5 days a week. The second week of January is too long to have this impact on our city and our city staff and the additional work that it's creating for them. So though we were all on board, and there's some things that we talked about when this came. One of it was looking back at the minutes that the shredding would not be done in the building. The shredding would be done outside the building, which you had not done. You hadn't met any of the requirements of the conditional use permit. And so I just want just a definite assurance that you're not going to have tires stored on the ground anymore, regardless of whether you get the state permit. That conditional use permit requirement is going to stand.
Right.
So I don't know if you need to buy new trailers or if you need to look for other property. But
Yeah,
Grantsville City had put very clear restrictions on your conditional use permit, and you have failed to communicate how out of control it got. So, I just had to say that. I apologize.
No, I apologize on our end, because
Yeah, I apologize also, yeah.
I'm a terrible communicator, first of all, and I hate speaking in public, but.
I hate speaking in public too.
Rough.
Okay, so it looks like the fire marshal, the commission should receive evidence from the fire marshal if he's still here and willing to present any evidence. We should have probably done that before that long and drawn out conversation about accountability. I'm sorry, Nick.
That's okay. Nick Critchlow, Grantsville Fire Marshal. I understand you guys are in a tough position as far as deciding how to proceed with this. If you do decide to proceed to allow them to continue to operate, could I add on a provision that if they do start to clear the tires, International Fire Code requires that a space be kept between an outdoor storage outdoor pile of tires and a building. That space needs to be 50 feet. And I know we saw a picture before, just from eyeballing it, didn't look 50 feet to me. So if we could add that provision that's where they start first. That is an industrial part of our city. I'm not exactly sure the businesses that are there, but I know that there's an auto body shop that's on the back end that has lots and lots of flammable hazardous materials. There's a weld shop a couple doors down. There's another auto body shop at the end. There's Choice Tires. There's a lawn care facility. And a concern that me and Fire Chief Emmett have is, in my staff report, there is only 3 hydrants in that relatively close vicinity. There is one directly across the street from Greenville Tire. However, if that pile were to go up in flames, we would deplete our water resources very quickly. That would turn into a very hazardous situation. I know I'm only speaking from a fire safety side, but from a fire department, we are very concerned. Like I said, I'm not turning a deaf ear to, that it is a business. They want to try and fix what was wrong, but I just want to emphasize that.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
I believe so. Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay.
Nick, you
Yes.
said 50 feet. Is that from the toe of the pile or from the center of the pile or what? If we're gonna ask that as a thing, we need to basically clarify
you're
what
good.
that means.
You're good. I'll just read it straight from code. Section 3405.4, distance from lot lines and buildings. Tire storage piles shall be located not less than 50 feet from lot lines and buildings.
I'm gonna make the interpretation that's the toe of the pile. So if we make that as a thing, I think we should clarify what that is. So if inspector comes out, they can say it's to wherever the first tire is on the ground. Okay.
Mhm. And there are other code requirements as far as the size of the pile. If we want, we can get into the math of it, but
Sorry.
no, go.
I think just referencing, stating that they need to meet the National Fire Protection, the NFPA.
Is that the same as the International Fire Code?
Yes, so International Fire Code and NFPA often reference each other. We use both standards here in the city.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good.
I think
That's a
just
good question.
clarify if we're gonna have one of our city inspectors go out, what does that mean by that? Or would he clarify
Yeah.
with you? But that interpretation to me would be that it's from the toe.
Yeah.
And I think if we can say that it meets all NFPA requirements, then I think I'd be good with that part, but thank you. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Was there any other codes specific to the situation that we need to ensure that we're all clear of?
Let me quickly pull up the staff report so I can
Sorry.
reference it. No, you're okay.
While he's looking that up in your motion, I would just make sure you guys specify the NFPA and IFC.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you want, I'll be more than happy to send you any code references that I have. Say everything.
Would the inspection be done like that? Would it be someone from the fire department that would be going to verify that it's meeting NFPA and IFC?
It would be me.
Okay. All right, thank you, sorry.
How long would it take to get to that 50-foot clearance?
I don't know, but that's what that's why if you notice the gap, that's why we kind of came in, so to create the gap, so there's already like probably 15-20 foot gap, so we're already close, but.
So you're doubling and halving again. How long is it taking you to get there?
Month, you know, realistically, probably maybe a couple weeks, but
So if we double, right? That is another month for 30 feet. And then another month for 50 feet.
yeah, cause right now there's about, I would probably guess 20 feet right now, the gap.
Okay, so that's
In
our
the latest
threshold.
updated picture, so.
Yes. Sorry.
Can we make a recommendation that in a
Okay.
month we revisit that, and it should be at or near that? Because if they're saying they're 20 feet right now, that'd be close to
He
that.
thinks it's probably 15 to 20, but
So you're, so 2.5 months.
yeah. Actually, it's in those pictures, so.
So 25 foot in a week. That's what you're saying, basically.
Okay.
I
To
don't know,
me,
you
so it'll
can't
take
really-
2.5 months to get
Right,
to
so
where
I'd
the
probably say
NFPA,
15 maybe,
It'll
20,
take 5 weeks.
right?
is that
They're
2.5
saying-
months?
5 weeks would be
Double that.
a month and a half.
It's faster if they throw some labor at it and move the tires away
That's
before
what
they
I'm
shred
saying,
them.
we give them like a month and say you will comply with this. and then
so
just
pretty much
revisit it.
Pile up, just get it
Hop
away
over
from the
and
building.
make the 50 feet.
Make the
50
pile
feet from the
higher?
wall.
Needs to be 50
Okay.
feet from the building.
Well, I was wondering if you just get them away from the building right now.
I don't know. Let's defer to the expert here.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Sorry.
if they just got if they worked on just getting the tires away from the building, first thing, it would grill the pile. But it would create a fire barrier. Would that be sufficient right now?
No. And the reason why is these tires burn excessively hot. Typical fully involved structure fire, and don't quote me on this, is around 14 to 1500 degrees. In the research I did on tire fires, they can burn anywhere from 1800 to 2000 degrees. And hence why the spacing requirements are there, is because the radiant heat that comes off of them, off of those fires.
Okay.
My husband was burning mustard gas at 2,000 degrees.
Yeah. Hopefully he was standing back.
Well. Right.
Another question. We have a concern about that, the safety issue. We've had private concerns as well. How long would it take you to either move those tires or to process those tires to get a 50-foot barrier away from the building?
Cause it took us probably 2 weeks to get from where it was to the wall to where it's at now.
Either process them or move them, physically move them.
Right, well, we prefer to process them, right? if we're moving them.
Obviously you would. I'm just telling you, we've got a concern from
Yeah.
our fire chief saying that that's an issue, so I'm.
Should we do both, you think?
45
Yeah,
to 60
shred and
days
move at the
based
same
on
time?
the
That's what I'm asking you. is-
Okay,
So that was my question to you, Nick. If we move the tires away from the building, the tire pile would grow, but at least we'd have a buffer immediately. And then start working this pile down. Would that be sufficient?
Unfortunately, we get into another code requirements regarding the size of the piles.
Size of the pile?
And that's what the chart will indicate. It
So it
goes
can't
off
be
of
higher than
pile
25
heights.
feet tall.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I'd also caution on moving them, because we need to have access around the whole pile, and fire access road minimum is 20 feet. And right now they're pretty close to that minimum,
Okay.
so. And I'll just be honest with you, if that was on fire, we probably wouldn't be driving that close to it anyway, but. Do you have any other questions for me?
I don't have one for you, but I have one for you guys. I guess I'll answer my question. How fast can you get that moved, processed away from
I
the?
mean, with the workers, employees, I mean, cause we would prefer to process them, but if we needed to move it, I mean, obviously it's gonna create the situation where it's gonna get higher.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Just doing that, it would take a week.
We're not talking, we're not talking.
Yeah, just
you
The
need
process,
to-
gas.
how long would it take you to get the tires processed so they're back 50 feet from the building?
a month.
About a month. to
It-
process.
it- 3 to 4 weeks, let's say a month, yeah.
But
4
if you
weeks.
wanted us just to create that 50-foot barrier, a week.
Yeah.
Maybe less, but.
My proposal, Sarah, would be to have them it would go back in inspection in a month, and come back and look at, they're saying 4 weeks, then we look at, to verify that that's been done. Would you be willing to verify that in the?
I definitely can. Unfortunately, I do work a full-time job on par, as you all do. So it would be just a matter of scheduling.
But if you'd be willing to schedule that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. I'm not holding to a date, but just let me know.
Okay, so Nick, in a month, you're gonna make time to verify that they've done their due diligence and create. Huh?
The drone flyover is gonna show the same thing, so.
Exactly,
Yeah, but
That's how we're.
The city will verify.
The city will verify.
Okay.
So then we're gonna ask Nick to verify in person, or is he
Well,
gonna
I'll
verify
let
just
you,
drone
whatever way
pictures?
you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable from looking at drone footage, you can say, yep, we can measure this and see that. As long as you're okay with that, I'm fine.
Personally, I'd rather see it in person, because I also like to view inside, make sure that there's no tires inside, because that's another ball wax, so.
I really wanna protect our people from any more additional work on this issue, but if you're willing to do that, we would be grateful.
He's a volunteer, it's okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Wait, you guys get paid?
No.
We get free water when we show up here.
Of the Kirkland variety.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know if we have any other questions. I think you answered and provided a ton of information that I can't possibly comprehend after this conversation, but I will do my best to absorb it while we prepare for this to come back to us in a month. I guess we don't need to address this follow-up in a planning commission meeting, but can we get a staff report of the reconciliation efforts and after Nick had verified that we have a sufficient buffer?
Correct, yes. Staff will give you guys monthly updates.
Okay.
Of the efforts being made, so it is the higher side, the higher side.
Okay, not putting more work on you either, Dave, but I appreciate those efforts and allowing us to work with these gentlemen as they're trying to continue their business that brings in tax dollars. Even though it's a risky thing, we'll never let it get this bad again.
And if you have any other questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
So anything that we've discussed here or any decision that we make, it's not going to be impacted by getting a state issued waste tire storage facility permit,
Understood.
correct?
Correct.
And the original expectation in the original conditional use permit of not storing tires on the ground, is that feasible?
Yes, the whole original plan is to not have any tires on that, right? Be able to process them. As soon as they arrive, process them in and out. So obviously it took us a while to get the shredder going, but yeah,
That's feasible.
feasible, absolutely. But
Not during the 100-day though, but they're saying after.
Right.
Yeah, oh, yes, yeah,
After
yeah,
we're done
it's-
with the reconciliation process and Dave signed off on it and
yeah,
Mr. Critchlow has
we've
signed
obtained
off
more
on it.
trailers too, just for.
Okay. Okay, the commission is open to receiving other relevant evidence from other interested persons at this time. If you want to invite anybody to come testify on your behalf, you're welcome to do so, or any other interested party involved in this, directly involved in this issue. But before speaking, each person must have taken the oath of or affirmation. So if you have not already done so, I will administer the oath before you testify. Is there anybody else that would like to offer any other evidence? Bill?
Good. Good conversation.
Okay. Okay, does the planning commission have any final questions?
No, I don't have any more
I
questions.
think I've said my piece.
None for me.
Okay. Is there any other evidence that you'd want to?
No, I mean, we'll send the updated
Okay.
pictures. I guess we never sent a picture of dump trailers of the new one, so
Okay.
But we'll send all the details and informations.
Okay. Jim, do you have anything else to add as the property owner?
I know, well, I was surprised. I leave the country for the winter. And when I got back,
Lucky you.
in April, yeah, the pile had doubled since I left and we told them they couldn't bring any more in, so. But where it showed, we were notified a month ago, I've never received anything till we got this meeting. That's the first time I've ever been notified of anything here with it.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's been a
Well,
pleasure
yeah.
having you. Okay.
Can I just say, I think we will lean on you to help make sure this gets cleaned up too, right? So
Well,
you're
we've
not
been-
in
we've
trouble.
been pushing
Okay.
on to make sure that it does get. Because we're a little concerned about it too, because it definitely got way out of hand.
Is there anyone else who has relevant and non-repetitive evidence and has taken the required oath or affirmation? Okay, not seeing anybody, we will close the evidentiary portion of the order to show cause hearing and consider it closed. The planning commission will deliberate based upon the evidence entered into the record. So in order to make findings on each of the alleged violations, we need to address each alleged condition separately. So is your,
What you guys have, so like in your motion, you would specify you would adopt the findings of facts stated in the staff report.
okay,
If you have all read that.
I think the recommendations in the staff report, pretty much what we said, minus a few things we've added additional that you kind of noted, Sarah, on the reporting structure and or their reporting timeline and those kind of things.
okay. So just a couple things of clarification before we go into where we're defining the expectations to rectify this concern. I want you two to develop the report that you will send to Dave weekly, and that's going to be reconciling how many tires are being shredded and shipped out, how many tires
Brought in.
and what is a reasonable time for you to create a draft report for Dave to approve? A week?
Yeah, less than that, a couple days, yeah.
By
For the end of the
Friday?
week, yep.
So Friday is the 20th?
21st.
21st, thank you. You're going to have a draft of the report for reconciliation to Dave. He's going to approve it, and then he's gonna expect to receive it with pictures, right?
Yep.
Dave only works Mondays through Wednesdays, so either specify staff or
Oh,
Wednesday.
sorry, Dave. Thank you for all you do. Okay, so by Monday,
Or you could just specify city staff.
They just have a receipt by Friday. He can review it Monday when he gets in, but they can make sure it comes in on Friday for waiting for him.
or to city staff,
So
so
bring it to.
send it to both Dave and Shelby.
Okay.
Okay, and Dave will review it on Monday and let you know if he wants any additional information as we go through the actions to reconcile these outstanding violations, okay? So then, Dave, is that okay if you provide them Monday, either adjustments in their reporting format or improvements, or approve it? So they can start documenting the reconciliation process.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And that will include the tipping fees, the production poundage of the bill of ladings when they're delivering shredded materials. Is that, am I understanding that
Yep.
correctly?
That's inflow and outflow.
Okay,
And that based on the rec staff recommendations is that there needs to be more outflow than inflow. So they have to ship out more tires than they receive. So that would be the confirmation that the pile's getting smaller.
So we're looking for the weekly reconciliation to show that the outflow is greater than the inflow.
At no point should the inflow be greater than the outflow, because at that point, they're not actually reducing their pile. But I'm clarifying, I guess, what I'm saying. Sarah, while you're writing, sorry.
No, that's okay. If Dave finds that there's a discrepancy in that arena, do we want an immediate pull, or
They're not going to, I guess what we're stating is that you are not going to accept more tires than you
Yeah,
ship out. If
yeah.
that happens, then you're in trouble.
Yeah,
You'll
so
go.
luckily right now, we're shredding 5 times more than what we're bringing in, so.
Okay, thank you for confirming
We'll-
that. Cameron, are you okay with that?
No, but just keep going when I want it stopped. So just keep doing what you're gonna do, because
Okay.
we have the authority to completely pull the permit. We're not doing that. I just want the flow to stop, so.
And I
It's okay.
understand
Yeah,
that,
and
but it is
I
in
know.
the best interest of the property owner and
Yeah.
the city that this gets reconciled, so we have to work towards something, my friend. Okay, and then within a month, you will have met the fire code expectation of the 50-foot perimeter buffer area between any tire and any part of the building.
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll include applicable sections of the International Fire Code that Nick has included in his staff report. Okay.
Sarah, can we make a clarification on
Yes,
that? That the
please.
50-foot buffer zone is between any surrounding building, including the building on the property. So if it's gotta be even 50 feet away from any adjoining property buildings, not just the green tire building.
Okay.
I know it's probably will just naturally happen, but I want to make sure that they're not stacking, hey, we got 50 feet from our building, but it pushes it closer to somebody else's building.
I have to start a new page, but thank you, Gary. Having more detail is always better. Okay, so to consider the findings on each alleged violation, we'll first consider condition 4, which requires compliance with applicable local, state, and federal tire disposal and recycling regulations. Does the commission find that the condition 4 was violated?
I think we kind of talked through all these different.
We did, but
think
I have
that's-
to gather
that's why I think
evidence.
I think we can put yes, and I have the yes just through staff report.
Yes.
As reflected in the staff report. So the condition 4, I have it right here. Okay, so 1 is fires limited to trailers.
So condition 4 was the operation must remain compliant with local, state, and federal tire disposal and recycling regulations.
That's kind of what that item stated, huh? Compliant with regulations. Okay, so the next consideration is the condition 6, of which limits tire storage to trailers and prohibits tires from accumulating on the ground. Does the commission find that condition 6 was violated?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Supporting evidence.
As well as
Staff
evidence from the staff
and in
report.
photos. We will next consider condition 7, which requires trailers to be parked on designated surfaces without obstructing driveways or fire lanes. Does the commission find that condition 7 was violated?
Yes, as per staff report.
Okay, having considered the evidence and the findings, the commission must determine whether to, one, revoke the conditional use permit, two, allow the permit to continue under its existing conditions, or three, allow the permit to continue with modified or additional conditions. So this will be a 6-month. The proposed action is to allow the conditional use permit to continue for a period of 6 months until all reconciliation efforts are completed. While Green Waste continues receiving and processing tires subject to measurable inventory reductions, reportings, inspections, fire safety and state compliance requirements. For clarification, the requirements will be that Greenville may continue receiving and processing tires as long as your documented outflow is greater than your inflow of materials. The materials processed and removed must exceed, material received, excuse me. Their current stockpile must demonstrate consistent and measurable net reduction. And I'm going to, I guess I add new ones to the end, or we'll get to there when we get. The stockpile may not increase in height, area, volume, or estimated tire count. Correct? Okay. Greenville must submit weekly reports and supporting records. Greenville must immediately report material equipment failure. So that includes electrical or mechanical with the shredder, or a non-functioning gate at the front that's allowing people to drop off or for you to leave.
Caveat, that include maintenance, because that's usually Saturdays is when we do kind of.
No, maintenance would be
just breakdowns.
considered maintenance. We're talking failure, equipment
Stalled
failure,
operational
something has
something.
gone wrong.
Okay.
Out of your maintaining maintenance record or maintenance schedule, the machine is down for some reason during a Monday, during a regular shift, we need to be notified.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And a breakdown does not relieve you of your stated goal to be done in 100 days.
Yeah.
So, and they're reporting that directly to Shelby or Dave or both?
To
Or
city staff.
City staff, okay? Incoming deliveries must be reduced if processing or outbound transportation is interrupted. So it'll be a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
If you're down for a day, you're not gonna collect tires for a day.
Understand.
Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Fire lanes and emergency access routes must remain unobstructed. Greenville must comply with fire marshal requirements. Greenville must obtain and maintain all required state approvals. Staff will conduct an interim review after approximately 3 months. Staff will conduct a final review at the end of 6 months. Failure to demonstrate substantial progress may result in suspension of incoming material, additional conditions, compelled removal, or revocation proceedings.
Can I suggest one more that we add and then
Yes.
just open there? They can operate, I'll give them the opportunity to operate more than Monday through Friday if you
Yeah.
desire to.
And essentially, that's kind of the plan, but yeah.
Well, I just want to clarify and give you that open gate. So if you have a down day, you've got a way to make it up. Because I
Yes.
think we're pushing to have this done in 100 days, and I'm not really open to excuse that I couldn't run for a few days because something was broke.
100 business days.
Yes.
It's about 20 weeks, right?
Yep.
Okay, so in addition to these, you will draft a weekly report showing the reconciliation efforts. You'll send that to Dave and Shelby by end of day Friday, August 21st, and by the end of day Monday, August 23rd.
24th.
24th. We should have taken a break. Dave will advise or accept your proposed report format. And then within 1 month, so by September 17th, you will have met the 50-foot space between the tire pile, any part of the tire pile in any building, building within 50 feet, there will be that buffer zone. So by September. Did I say 19?
You said 17?
17, by September 17th, that 50-foot buffer zone. And we'll look forward to receiving acknowledgement from Fire Marshal Critchlow. Then we will adopt all the findings stated in the staff report and ensure that the corrective action reflects this section of the NFPA and International Fire Code that Nick has indicated on his staff report. Specifically to ensure that we are acknowledging that we are working on mitigating all of those factors that are currently in violation of international, national, and state fire code law. Okay. So then we will entertain a motion for the modified conditional use permit for green waste tire recycling. Tire recycling.
Chairman, may I, if I may, if you were to ask for some legal advice as to whether a revocation or a stayed process were in the city's best interest, my opinion and what I would advise the city is that there's been a finding that they are out of compliance with the current conditional use permit, that we stay a decision as to revocation for the period that it sounds as though the commission is willing to make a further determination as to whether there will be a revocation or a reinstatement with additional conditions. As it sounds as though that may be in the interest of the health, safety and welfare of the community to move forward in a way that reduces the tire pile while not giving any sort of allowance for a violation of any fire code or conditional use permit. My advice would be not to allow something to continue in violation of those codes, rather to stay a decision as to the revocation to see how things go during that interim period.
Thank you, Tyson. I should have asked, but I appreciate you inserting that. Do I need to restate that, or having that on the record and having commissioners agree that that is wise, or staying the revocation based off of the continued efforts of these gentlemen is sufficient?
So I think that's sufficient, just to state the rationale that it's in the interest of the health, safety, and welfare of the community to reduce the tire pile in the ways that the commission has suggested during that interim period, and then a decision about revocation will be made at that set date.
I'm willing to take a stab at trying to bring this all together.
That would be great.
I'm gonna make a motion that we allow Green Day, right? Greenwheel, sorry.
I like
started
Think of the
it.
band. We allow Greenwheel to continue with their proposed recovery plan with the caveat that we are staying and we will review their conditional use permit at the end of that recovery period to determine if they are in compliance and that they can maintain compliance moving forward. And with all the conditions outlined by Sarah that she just spoke.
I second.
Okay, Jason, Gary, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, we have to do by name vote on Jason's motion. So Jason?
Aye.
Gary, aye. Cameron Moulton, nay.
Sarah Moore, aye. So that passes with the majority. Look forward to seeing you. Not really. Thanks. It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Appreciate
I look
your
forward to
accountability.
Prove me wrong, please.
not punching me wrong, but correct the situation. Gain
Okay,
your confidence.
then Let's see, I further move, do I need to do the rest of this then? No, I'm good, okay. So, the motion passes by a vote of 3-2 or 3-1. The commission's findings of fact, ruling, and modified conditions will be prepared in writing. Under section 7.16, a person or firm aggrieved by the commission's decision may appeal the decision to the city council. We're all in agreement that we will close that agenda item. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyson.
Thank you.
Appreciate your guidance and patience. Yes. Can we take like a 7-minute break or 5-minute break? It's 10:15. We'll reconvene at 10:20.
Okay.
Thank you.
Man,
No.
you go that long, we really didn't correct.
No, that's not that one.
Okay, I apologize. Nicole's indicated that we are functioning again. And so it is 10:21. We are calling this planning commission meeting back to order and invite a presentation and discussion of agenda item number 4, which is a proposed use for Advanced Technology and Data Infrastructure Center. Thank you, Bill, for sticking with us.
You're welcome. And thank you for that conversation. I know those kinds of things are lengthy, but that's part of the process and you guys are doing it. So thank you for that. I thought that was a really good conversation all the way around. And thank you. So this item, and I want to clarify again, just for the record, we don't have any current or anticipated applications for data centers anywhere in town in any way, shape, or form. We don't currently allow data centers anywhere in town in any way, shape, or form. No zones, nothing on our books allows for any discussion about data centers. This discussion is to try to get out ahead of that conversation before it becomes an emergency. So that's the reason for this. Now, you have in front of you an exhaustive section of the code. There's a revision for definitions in chapter 2. It establishes 2 different tiers of data centers. The first one would be a relatively small data center that would be less than 25,000 square feet as it is currently proposed. Just to give you an idea, that's half the size of the current, not the proposed, the current Solberg's market. So just to give you an idea of how big of a space that would be the maximum under tier 1. Okay, under tier 2, it's anything bigger than that and or at the planning commission's discretion to say, this is a sensitive area, this is a place we want to look at. We're going to bump this up to tier 2 regardless of the size. Okay. The other definition is on a closed loop cooling system, which would be required for all data centers regardless of size, and a low frequency noise, which is defined so that we can regulate that more specifically later. Any questions on the definition? Okay. Without getting too bogged down into the weeds, because I'd like to request that you take the next couple of weeks and review this before we have a public hearing, if that's the direction you want to go with this. I don't want to get too far into the exact details of this, but really to answer any questions that you may have and respond to any comments or concerns that you may have heard out in the public or just as we've been contemplating this thing. So is there anything off the top that you can look at and know that is of immediate concern that we ought to address? Because I have one that I've actually highlighted in the staff report, and maybe this will help get the juices flowing. With the tier 1 sized data centers, we we've had some conversation amongst staff about whether or not to allow that in the MD zoning district, which would be the, where is that at exactly? Can you pull up that map for me, Shelby?
Oh, you want the map?
Yeah. So the MG is the general manufacturing district, and that's the one that's the biggest and most inclusive of uses. The MD is the next level down and could be considered if that's the way you guys want to go for that. But this would only include the tier 1 type facilities. So if you look on this map, the orange, the bright orange colors, that's where it's currently zoned MD. If you'll notice, it's a Walmart, and then there's that industrial park up there off of Burmester. And I believe those are the kind of the three main areas. There's a couple little pockets here and there, but that one, the property that we were just talking about there off of Old Lincoln, and then the Burmester property. You got to think worst case scenario with these things. Okay, so if you allow them, you got to envision that they're going to be everywhere on all of these orange spaces. Now, obviously the Walmart's full, and that little area off of Old Lincoln Highway, that's full, but the industrial area up there, that could be full of these little data centers. So it's the conversation that I wanted to bring up and have with you if these could be acceptable, again, in the smaller iteration of these things in those areas. And then otherwise we would focus on just the MG zoning district, which if you'll zoom to that, it's the darker blue. Now, the dark blue in the Broken Arrow area, that's largely, especially east of the highway, that's all in Sitla property for the most part. But that doesn't preclude it, just because it's owned by Sitla, it doesn't preclude it from having a data center on it at some point. So just keep that in the back of your mind. The areas to the west of the highway, those are largely the gravel pits and those areas up there. So again, when it stops making sense for them to pull gravel out of the mountain, then maybe they'll want to transition into a different kind of use and an industrial type use, and maybe a data center works up in those areas. The other one is the dark blue area that is along the Lakeview Business Park. Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that we look at that in those particular areas down there.
Okay.
So we're looking for direction from you guys on whether or not you think that the MD should be included for tier 1 facilities, or let's just leave them all in the MG zoning district.
Why wouldn't we do both?
It's an undesirable use in maybe the MD zoning district.
Oh, completely, you're saying, okay.
Yeah.
Completely exclude.
Yep.
And I think, Bill, I lean more towards just the MG exclusively, not both.
Okay, I mean,
puts us out more in a.
There's plenty of room for
periphery.
everything, you know, there's
Yeah.
plenty of room for just about it.
I just think
in the
if it
MG.
came down to that, and we did allow all the ifs and buts if they were all solved.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be easier to say, hey, this is on the periphery of the city, especially with noise pollution, light pollution, buffering zones. I think that'd make a little bit more sense than the MDs more in town. So
Okay.
that would be my recommendation.
Well, that's a good recommendation. And I won't tell you which staff member won that particular question.
Carry Coke Zero, is that what you're saying?
I owe her a lot, actually. She's fantastic. Otherwise, there are different different standards as I outlined at the staff report. If you have any questions about any of that, that's what we're here for.
So just remind me, just again, maybe a little bit of ignorance, when we're putting something as a conditional use, what are the limitations on conditions we can then impose on something, anything, not just necessarily a data center? Can we make up anything and anything goes, and that's how we prevent an undesirable business, or what's the rules?
Kind of, and we need to be a little bit careful because really broad discretion is given. But what happens is if you allow it as a conditional use, and then the legal terminology is if you go too far. which is how lawyers and judges make their money, is determining where that too far is.
Something too ridiculous.
Yeah, and what generally has been found is that if you take away all practical use of the thing, then you should probably just get rid of it as a use in general, right? You just eliminate that from consideration altogether, which is certainly a possibility. If we want to eliminate any consideration for data centers anywhere in the city, we can do that. And we just say, no, we don't want it. And other than trying to regulate the heck out of it and make it impossible to do, just say, we don't want it. Or conversely, if it's something that is a desirable use, we just say, yeah, let's have that here. A conditional use is considered a permitted use as long as they can meet the conditions that are outlined in the code. And that's why we've tried really, really hard to make the sections of the code here as stringent as possible to make sure that they have a very high standard to meet and mitigate all of the potential impacts.
I like having some perimeters in place already to apply to future conversations. Honestly, I might get slaughtered for this, but I'm not opposed to this because I feel like any impacts that a center might have can all be mitigated readily with sufficient effort. And I've worked in environmental review for the EPA long enough to know that mitigation is possible.
On the scale of things to be worried about, and I'm just gonna say this as my own personal opinion and not to try to sway anyone's opinion here, but if we're talking about industrial type uses in industrial type areas, we allow for things like explosives and all kinds of other things that are have potentially a much bigger impact than a data center, which is just gonna be a block of building that hums away and answers your questions. So if we put the reasonable restrictions in place, and the water, I think, is a big one. Power use is obviously a big concern. Emergency generators. You know, even the aesthetics of the building itself. We want to make sure that they look like they either blend into the industrial area or at least just don't stand out as this ugly gray block. Yeah, there are reasonable things that we can do to make sure that those impacts are mitigated. We've tried to capture all of those in the code. So as you look through those over the next couple of weeks, if again, the direction that we get is a thumbs up, let's pursue this a little further. Understanding that this is not a vote tonight.
Right.
Then we can continue the conversation.
Are there items in here that we can give recommendation to now?
Yes, if you have them.
I mean, the one thing that I would definitely make a recommendation, I would like to strike the non-potable secondary reclaimed water systems as approved by the city engineer. This is on 8/12/50. The water conservation standards.
What line is it?
This is line number 131.
Do you guys like the line numbers, by the way?
It's very much like a bill. I like it.
131.
I like the closed looped, directorship. I'm still, right now, is probably novice or just not knowing, but I wouldn't like to see any non-potable, even secondary reclaimed water systems. I still think the closed loop glycol type system.
Sure.
Would be the only way that I would say, hey, we could approve it this way. I mean, closed loop, you're gonna use a Olympic sized swimming pool versus water one time in 20 some odd years. And then it's a closed loop where the non-potable, you could still be using it. Could that be used somewhere else? That'd be one of the places I would start even just right now, just looking at this.
Okay, I think that makes good sense. Anyone else have anything else?
I have a list.
You have a list,
I
great.
do. I don't know if you want me to go down through by numbers or just kind of brain dump and then we can go back to them. I think I'm just gonna go from where I have listed here. I think we should, one of the things maybe you already had this in here and I didn't read it this way, but I think any kind of, because of the interest, especially from the public on here, I think anything, no matter what it is, if we say they've met every compliance thing, I think that a data center thing like this should be a conditional use regardless.
Okay.
They can't just comply with it. We have to actually review it and opens up the public to be able to.
I think that was the plan.
Okay, maybe that's in there. That's fine.
Yeah.
One of the things you had in here was talking about limiting what the total capacity was. You said tier one was up to, I can't remember what size, and then tier two was greater.
Up to 25,000 square feet.
Square feet, and then you talk about, then later you're going back in under section, where was it at?
So there's a couple of things in the definition that trigger when you step up to a tier two. First is a conditional use permit is required, but we require conditional use permits for all conditional uses regardless.
Okay.
So that may be a little bit redundant to say that, but at least it's covered there. But the main thing is on a tier two that a development agreement is required for a tier two facility, which is a negotiated thing between the city and the developer to make sure that, first of all of these things are adhered to, but also to govern things like an abatement or a, what do I call that in here? It gets put into an escrow account, which means that if the facility goes defunct for whatever reason, the city can come in and tear that down at the developer's expense.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things you put in here, and I was trying to find where I read it, because I read it twice and I saw it again. One of the things you limited was saying it wouldn't be anything over 300 megawatts. And that was because it was for grid stability. We are not a power company, and that would be up to Rocky Mountain Power to how they would look at that, or if they were off the grid, that would be how they would determine that. And so I think trying to be like the regulator or trying to determine what that is, I think that's overreaching what we could do as a city.
I think that's just in the definition.
One of the things you said is that there shall not anything be over 300 megawatts, and you said because of for grid stability is what you wrote in there.
I see.
For grid capacity, which that's on line 52.
It's on, yeah, it starts in
So
line
maximum power
49.
cap, you're basically saying there's a cap there for that, because you're saying it because of grid capacity, which we have no control over, and that would be, if they were off grid, it wouldn't even matter. So just looking at that as a thing that would be a tough argument for us to say that was why, when we don't have any control. We're not, some cities have their own power company or manage that, we do not.
Okay.
I'm supportive of the closed loop system. I think giving a developer, hey, this is what we would allow in our property, gives them a range to say, this is what we would have here. And that is really sensitive to the water, which we are.
Can I go back just really quick to the grid capacity thing? So there are different ways that you can limit the maximum size of something. If we took this out, then the sky's kind of the limit, or whatever Rocky Mountain Power can provide is the limit. Is that the direction we want to go with it, or do we want to then take this particular requirement out, but then substitute something else in and say nothing more than 500,000 square feet per building, or something of that nature?
To me, I don't know why, but I'm open to it. Like the Walmart distribution center is a big building.
It's about 1.2 million. So
what does it, I mean, if they're on an approved zone area and they comply with everything else we've worked with and we worked through it, why does it matter how big it is?
That's what I'm asking.
I just wonder, that's one thing that I wrote down is the power, because some of them will create their own power. And this is a new point, so maybe just expand this to say for any potential connections to city's power grid, then we can probably put some quantifying factors on it. I don't know, Sheldon.
So I think the point of this is saying that it's regulating the size of the building by the megawatts.
Right, that's what I'm trying to get at.
So it's not necessarily saying the power that it's gonna use, it's saying a building that's going to use 300 megawatts is the maximum size that it can use. If you're gonna use 500 megawatts, whether you create your own power or not, you can't build here. So that's what Bill's asking.
So my question is, why
You
does it
wanna
matter?
regulate the size.
Well, and that's a fair question. Does it matter? And if we want to have a maximum size of data center in the city, I mean, I don't know why we would either. I'm just saying, if we want one, and Shelby's pointing this out, this is a convenient way to say we don't want anything bigger. And this is a reasonable person test kind of restriction on the amount of power that's being drawn and used.
So, and maybe for another question, so a 300 megawatt system going into building, how big a building would that cover?
I'm not sure.
So this is just a starting point.
Exactly right.
The one thing I think, and some of this comes with scale, as you build things up, you're more efficient and you're bigger. So sometimes there may be better options for something that's bigger than smaller. That's where my concern's coming from.
And
They say,
that
"Hey,
makes
look,
good sense
there
too.
might be more efficiencies, and so we actually get a better product by allowing something bigger. We say, no, it can be small, then you get more of an a la carte type build. And if I'm not saying, I'm still studying a lot on what data centers mean and don't mean for a city, but
Yeah.
I don't want to limit, if we decide that's something that was available, that we would potentially limit ourselves from something that might be better than what we offer, if we limit it by something like that, without considering why
Yeah.
they want something.
And I think there are other restrictions in here, maximum or minimum lot size, lot coverage, those kinds of things that are gonna come into play that we might want to talk about and massage a little as well. But those can have let me say limiting, but just a mitigating impact on the size of a building as well.
So some of what Jason said earlier though was probably hold more weight that we don't control the electric grid. So to me, I think that language needs to be, to your point, feel massaged.
Yeah.
Because that's something that's completely, we can control the lot size, we can control some of these other things, as building and development. We have no control whatsoever over the electrical grid and how it's maintained, built or anything. That's a tough one.
The one challenge that I would say is that we're not in charge of the grid, but if some entity is sucking all of the power over to that one entity and it goes down for any reason, it could have a negative impact all the way back up to other substations that could impact. And I'm just
There's people that stay up at night with that, and it's at Rocky Mountain Power, they either would not be able to allow that, they'd have to cover that material or would be off the grid. So
that's right.
I deal with that realm a lot, and I think I get why we're saying we want to control that, and there is a control mechanism, but that's why we have a regulated utility overseen by state agencies, is because they will not allow them to overbuild. They have to account for that, and there's ways they'll claim and say they'll have brownouts and everything. And one thing like this isn't, Rocky's got bigger problems, but they've also got things they need to work through.
Well, I want to look into that and see how that compares with some of these other regulations.
That's fine, but I just challenge, we're not without being, if we were our own utility and we're trying to manage that here, I think it would be a little bit different, but we're not.
I just wonder if there's some language we put in there, like up to a certain amount, and you have to supply your own power source.
They would have to go back to Rocky again.
Well,
Anything over about 20 megawatts, you have to apply for a special permit, and right now they're not giving them, so.
Well, I think
the
the Bill's point, this is a starting point, and I think the stuff you're bringing up is very balanced, so we start whittling this down. Until we get the statute built, what we want to look like.
Yeah.
Leave this one highlighted and come back to it.
I think we should.
So I can bring back some more information on that.
She's tired, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna go through a couple real quick here. On the noise type stuff, you've got it kind of tiered. I think, I have no issue with that. I think that'd be better addressed as a city noise ordinance, where you could go basically say at the boundary of the property line, they shall meet a certain limit, and don't try to dictate how it is within there, just basically saying you can have conditions. I like the idea of stipulating that if they do have testing for generators, you have a certain time during the day.
Yep.
The lighting standard, I think, should also be addressed through a city ordinance that should be applied to anybody, not just data centers, anybody with trash lights or anything that has at a big building. Like, I'm picking Walmart again because they're here, but anybody that has a big industrial thing should be meeting that same standard, rather than trying to make it specialized just to one thing.
I do want to point out, we have tried passing those two ordinances. in the
Dark sky.
past, and they were not received well by planning commission.
I'm saying if
by
we wanted one,
previous-
I'd rather have them be blanket, not just to a specific area, because I don't think data centers are gonna be a big light issue, but. And then I absolutely love the financial assurance that you were asking for. I think that's a decent ask, it's a fair ask, and I think most people would provide it.
Speaking of that, we actually, when I was in Texas, we wrote this into the code for all big box type facilities. So Costco, Walmart, whatever, you go in, and if your Circuit City goes out of business, there's a plan in place to either sell that within 12 months or the city goes in to push it down and you pay for that.
They have to, the bond gets.
So it doesn't just sit there as a big empty spirit Halloween or
Most
whatever.
places, I deal with this a lot, they're not gonna push it down, but
They're opening up all over the place.
the last one I'll have, because I'll let Sarah go to bed, is when we talk about some of the air things you have here with air compliance, they already have to meet air permits from the state. DAQ has to issue those, and so I think trying to stipulate what that looks like, unless we have someone from the city that's gonna try to either we're gonna have tougher restrictions than what they require, you're gonna be spending a lot of time trying to understand what that looks like.
Yeah, no, the only thing there is that says that generators shall meet all DAQ emission standards.
Which they would meet anyway.
So, yeah, but then they have to agree to that in our development agreement. And if they're found in violation of that, then we can pull it.
Okay.
Which is different from the enforcement that the state may be able to do. So.
Okay.
Love it. It's a great list.
I'm done.
I like the homework.
He is so stinking awesome. Okay,
Oh, can I go?
go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so just, so I understand, so we're just trying to get it ahead of it, so if someone came in with a proposal, we have something in place.
Correct.
By the gauge of how this room looked earlier today, when this finally opens up for public discussion, I can't imagine we're gonna have too many people saying, let's put something on the book that allows it within parameters. I think we're gonna get a big no, right? Like, don't let them happen at all.
Right.
And it's gonna be hard to ignore that. So let's say we go down that path and we say, hey, we're gonna put in the code or whatever we're doing here, that no data centers at all. And then let's say 2 years pass, the buzz settles down, we see some benefits, and somebody comes in and says, hey, I wanna put a data center in Grantsville. We're able to relook at it again, right?
100%.
Okay. So I think that's what we're gonna see when we open this up. I think we're going through this very in the weeds here a lot, and I don't think we're gonna get this far in the weeds, because I don't think anyone's gonna come in here with a poster that says, hey, let's allow this within these parameters. I think we're gonna get a big march up to this
Please
podium
don't.
with nothing at all. But I will say this too, we did get a couple of public comments, one of them clearly written with AI, which I think is hilarious.
And ironic.
So.
Oh, I noticed that.
But I think that's where we're gonna end up is, we're gonna get a big not at all, and it's gonna be hard for us to say, oh, no, let's do it this way, and so.
So again, the exercise is not necessarily to get this adopted in 2 weeks or in 2 years or in 20 years. The exercise is to have the conversation, to let the residents know that we are having the conversation, that we care about it, and that the decisions that we make are being made cautiously and carefully and with the appropriate amount of consideration.
Yeah.
So.
I think one of the things too, when you talk about that AI generation, one of the emails that came to us, there was a lot of data in there about facts, and they said, hey, you should share this. I actually went through and researched all that, and I could not find specific references to any of it. And so basically it was an opinion. And I think part of that is
Or
where
a
people,
mirage.
yeah, people want to understand. And I think that's where we have to go back and really look at this. And I'm trying to really be objective, but I think being prepared and trying to lay some groundwork to your point, I think is good to help with this, but I'm not sold on one or another, but I know that there's opportunities there, and there's potential revenue for the city that could potentially bring something that doesn't bring a lot of traffic, but brings in tax dollars, if it can be done in an effective way, but I haven't seen that yet, and I'm not looking for it. I'm just want to be prepared that if we keep that as an option, a door open until we see why it wouldn't be.
But I
So-
think also what you're saying is we want to remove anecdotal evidence.
That's right.
For statistical, fact-based evidence.
And what I can tell you is that a data center of a substantial size, that 500,000 to 1 million square foot size data center, which is substantial. It's the size of the distribution center. They represent about $1 billion worth of unsecured personal property, which is just tax dollars. And the impact on the city is minimal, even compared to other industrial uses that are of similar size and impact. So it's a dollars question. And if someone could fund another police officer, or could give us some more library, or really help out our parks, or, maybe even another planner
Right?
or a code enforcement officer. Those things get paid for through tax dollars.
Yeah.
And we just went through a process of having to raise taxes, and no one likes that.
Yeah.
And fees on sewer, and no one likes that. But the only other option is to allow for some growth in some areas that
That's why I'm thinking like, there's gotta
beneficial.
be a cool down period here because it is just too hot to touch right now. And so I think people need to see some benefits in other places and it's a bomb.
But to your point, I think when it does, or if it did come up at some point, it may, that there's gotta be options where where's the community benefit? It can't just be, hey, we're coming in to do this. It's like, hey, show me where's the candy for the business? But that's down the road. And I think right now it is so hot, I think this getting right now is gonna get.
But I
a lot
wonder
of
if that's how
people
you
fired
cool
up.
this off, is like, there's a debate that happened this last week. One person had no empirical evidence, one person did, and the person with no evidence looked foolish, they're just emotional. And I wonder if you cool this off with empirical evidence. Like, you're telling me this, but here's the real data.
Yeah.
Now, you can be as angry as you want to be one way or the other. I'm not saying that this is the way to go one way or the other. But sooner or later, I don't care about your emotions. I want to deal in facts.
Yeah, the only thing that cures that is time, I think, though.
Well,
That's the only thing that,
With some people, yes, but somebody's always going to be mad no matter what you do.
The other thing to keep in mind as well is that the mad people are vocal, but we have 15,000 people that live in Grantsville. And they probably care a lot more about their tax dollars than they do about other things. So,
And the big hot thing is water and power.
and are the people who come to a public hearing, are they necessarily a representative sample of themselves? Yes, absolutely. And we should definitely listen to them and give credence to what they have to say. Their voices and opinions 100% matter. And I have seen it many, many times in my career where one voice can make all the difference in a public hearing. So it's vital that we continue with that process. But in the back of our minds, we should always be thinking, what about the rest of the 15,000 people that couldn't make it tonight? What are their thoughts?
Well, that's as I can say. I think that the hot topic is water and power. And if we can address some of this, like, hey, we want closed loop systems where we're gonna draw a swimming pool worth of water and we're not gonna do it again for 20 some odd years. I think there's some things we can build in empirical evidence.
yeah, I don't disagree with that. We know what we're gonna hear, right?
I
So
guess
it's gonna be tough.
It's coming,
Yeah.
but I don't want to avoid the fight because I'm afraid of somebody being mad.
Well, there is, and then the thing is that there isn't a fight to have yet because no one's bringing one, right? And so that's why this is good, is we're ahead of the game, just like Bill's plan is. And so
Yes.
I don't think, what I would hate is for the city to have inner turmoil and fighting over something that doesn't even exist. We're solving a problem that's not here yet, which is good, but we don't need to have a fight that's not worth fighting yet. And so that's what I hope we can avoid when this starts coming up in public discussion, is that people can remain objective and open-minded and cool-headed about it. So that's probably asking too much.
Some people will,
I'm
some people
living
won't.
for that.
I just want to say one more thing, and it's along those same
Screens
lines,
are going to.
is that my phone number is 801-200-2321. That's my cell. Call me. I will get back to you if I don't pick up right away. Or if my phone screens you for whatever reason, leave me a voice message. I will call you back, or email me at bcobabe@grantsvilleut.gov. And I will email you back. If you have any comments, anyone listening, any thoughts, concerns, you want to set up an appointment to come and pick my brain, it won't take long. I would love to have anyone's comments. And I say that because that is the most important part of my job, is to take those comments in and be able to respond to those. So it's something I take very seriously and want that on the record.
And you heard from no one after the last discussion? Is that accurate?
The three emails that you've seen were sent to Nicole and Shelby, and those are the only comments that we've received so far.
Well, the good thing is this is now on public record.
Yep.
There's minutes. We can start referring people back to the minutes of, hey, here's the preliminary talks. Let's have conversation about what we're looking at. Not hyperbole.
Yeah, for the record, we did try to incorporate the best ideas from what Tooele County is doing as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay,
Good job,
thanks.
Bill.
Can I just say that the, under 8.12, number 2, that on lines 136, on lines 136, those are generous because the EPA says that your daytime decibel maximum or noise impacts without hearing loss is 55 decibels, not 50. and nighttime outside is 70 instead of 60, so that you could give yourself a little wiggle room right there just by following what normal EPA standards are.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Wish they would have thought of that when they put in the racetrack.
These are,
I love the
Sounds like
racetrack.
freedom.
these are actually, it's, these are more restrictive than that.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're more restrictive
So,
than what EPA would
Yeah,
which is good.
require for housing projects specifically, so
Okay,
I just wanted to point out, you have a little
Okay,
wiggle
Cameron,
room built
I would
in.
like
I
to
appreciate all
more
of your
restrictive
work,
there.
as all of us do.
welcome. So are we getting a thumbs up? Do we want to run it for a public hearing in 2 weeks?
So well, this is a legit question. Can we control what else is on the agenda? So that we're not running till midnight with something like that with a bunch of other stuff?
We'd want to make it just this.
Okay, like no, okay, no,
Is there,
Judge Sarah.
are we in that hurry to get it done? That's what I'm curious.
Do you want to wait a month?
I think the people that keep showing, I think there was probably some frustration tonight and nothing, there were no shenanigans here, right? But the people came wanting to hear discussion and we had some other business that took a long time. So I think we should talk about it sooner rather than later because I think the public's getting antsy to voice their opinions. I think that's important.
I would agree.
So do you want to wait a month?
Yes, I think
I
a
wouldn't do
month
it.
out is fine.
Okay, perfect. We can bring it back in a
Missed
month.
that meeting. Okay.
Are you?
I won't be here in a month.
Well, then we could do it in a month and a half because we probably already
Okay,
have
6 weeks.
stuff on the
Let's do
agenda
6
for
weeks.
next meeting.
We don't want to rush it
If you
either. We
don't
want to
want
let
to.
it,
Be ready. Let
Yeah.
it simmer. Okay, I think that's
Yeah.
good.
okay,
Is that okay? Yeah.
Thank you for that work.
thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bill.
Appreciate
You're
it.
the best, Bill.
You're the best. We're so lucky to have you. Okay, we will close agenda item 4, move on to agenda item 5. Just presentation and discussion regarding the approval of minutes from the August 4th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. Does anybody have any concerns with how the minutes were presented?
I have no concern.
August 4th, 2026.
Can I make a motion?
Yeah.
Please.
I move to approve the minutes from the August 4th, 2026 Planning Commission regular meeting.
Second.
Thank you, Cameron and Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just voted abstain because I wasn't here. And I wasn't able to log in, so I have no idea if this is accurate or not.
Oh.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Can I just
That's
abstain
okay.
from voting? Or is that
Yeah,
even
but
matter?
technically you don't need to. If you have no reason to believe that they're inaccurate.
Then I vote aye.
Okay. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Harry, for asking that clarification. I know I've had the same question several times, so. We will close agenda item 5 and move on to agenda item 6, report from city staff.
Go team.
Thank you for your guidance and patience today. Trying to prep me for that was probably painful, but appreciate everything you do. Nothing else? Hi, Bill.
Oh, Bill, no.
Oh, no, just the calendar item, the September 9th and 10th, just a reminder on the APA Fall Conference. That was it.
Okay, thank you. I don't think I RSVP'd for that, but I won't be able to make it. I know you keep reminding me and I really, really want to go. What about the Utah Leagues of Cities and Towns? Are we able to attend that?
That's typically for city council members and city managers and that kind of thing.
So much fun.
It is a good conference.
Gotta get elected.
Can I get with you after, because I think I'm still scheduled for tonight.
How about
I just want to
you?
double check that after your meeting with you.
I do not want to get elected. Okay, so we will close agenda item 6, move on to agenda item 7, open forum for planning commissioners.
Oh, I looked at Rhett like it
I
was.
feel like I've talked enough today. I don't have anything else to say.
I do have one question. And it's only because this came up and it's me, I'll make it quick, Cameron, I promise. But I have a friend of mine sits on a planning commission in a city in Salt Lake County.
I'm sorry.
And he says if they have their commission, and maybe it ties this as a legal question too, if they have a board of 5 and 2 are absent and they come down to a vote and it goes 2-1, then that's automatically dismissed because they still don't have a majority of the quorum. Is that correct?
We would fall back on our own rules. So Salt Lake County is gonna have their rules. We have ours. I believe ours is a
A
majority.
majority of the present. Okay, that's my only question.
Quorum,
Yeah.
quorum.
President of the present quorum. That's the only question. Okay, done.
And 3 make a quorum.
Majority makes a quorum.
Yes. Thank you all for your discussions today. No, it was not fun and it went long, but
It's good. Big first day of
we
school.
we don't
tomorrow.
always
Okay.
get our wish list, but I think the reasonable outcome was achieved on the items today, so way to go. Guys, I'm so proud of you. So impressed, honestly. So we will close that agenda item 7 and move on to agenda item 8, report from city council. Hey, Brett,
Hi,
you made it.
I made it.
Yeah, what's
I've been here all
tomorrow,
night.
what's tomorrow look like?
That'll be just fine.
Now you made it through the night. Tomorrow night.
We
gonna be
are,
this
we are
one?
working on getting that seat filled, so we have a quorum. I'll just say it's been a little bit of a struggle. So we'll see if we can have the individuals that we're gonna talk to, or someone step up. So there you have it.
Well, I'm not sure if Mayor is still here. It doesn't look like she is. I sent her a name and then he sent me a text saying he would rep in that.
Yep, that's what we'll get.
Probably got.
So, other than that, I mean, yeah, well done tonight.
Okay. Thank you for all you do. Okay, so then that leaves our last agenda item, which is considering a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Gary. Gosh, I seconded.
Second. Oh, you said.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. All right.